Hey everybody, this is Nick Apostolidis. I play Leon in the recent RE2 remake, and you're listening to Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast.
The Kasanova Podcast, the #1 podcast in Hawaii, is brought to you by these contributors on Patreon. If you'd like to see more content like this more often, as well as more podcast reviews, impressions, early access releases, live streams, and original content, then consider becoming a patron today. All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, and I'm coming at you with another phenomenal interview. In today's episode, I get the honor and privilege of interviewing one of my best friends, the one, the only, the phenomenal, the iconic GamerThumbTV. Now, GamerThumb is just one of those creators that's just not only inspirational, but his content is very engaging, entertaining, and educational, especially when it comes to his Untold Legends timeline series, consisting of Castlevania, Mortal Kombat, and so much more. If you're looking to learn something new about the games that you play, or learn the lore, or even get insightful reviews, commentary, and more, you need to be checking out GamerThumbTV. He also has amazing streams that occur every single week, so make sure you tune into those as well. And if you're ready to do it, I'm ready to do it. Let's go ahead and welcome GamerThumb onto the show. Welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova. I've got the honor and privilege of having the one, the only, the iconic, the legendary, the man who blazed the trail and YouTube was scared shitless.
Legendary.
The one and only GamerThumbTV. Man, how are you doing? Introduce yourself.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. My name is Fabian, my real name, GamerThumbTV. I see a lot of you in the chat are from my channel, so you guys know me already. For those of you that don't, I run a gaming channel. Well, I don't like to call myself a gaming channel because it's more than that. I do game reviews, movie reviews, game side stories, timelines, just all kinds of nerdy things. Whatever I feel like doing, I'll do. Live streams Mondays and Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, not just a gaming channel. I try to do a little bit of everything that's entertaining, whatever pops in my head.
Definitely, man, definitely. And tell people where they can find you. I'm sure everyone in the chat knows where to find you, but
everywhere. Well, not everywhere. YouTube, obviously. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. What else? I've got a Patreon, which got a social page on there too. And it took me a while to get on Twitter, of all things. Because when I first started, me as a person, I dislike social media in general. Mm-hmm. So when I started, people were like, you need a Twitter, you need a Twitter, you need a Twitter. I was like, I have a Facebook. I don't want to mess with all this stuff. So I got Twitter, and lo and behold, my channel started growing crazy when I had Twitter. And then people were like, you need Instagram. And I was like, oh, I got resistant. I got Instagram.
Now you need TikTok.
I got to work my way up. But yes, you could find me currently on all those platforms.
And one of the things, I know you and I, because, audience, you may not know this, but Fabian and I, we talk every single day, literally. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is how much work social media promoting and marketing is. It is a fucking job.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm sure we'll touch on this later, but you get the people that say YouTube's not a job. Aside from content creation, just promoting yourself, make sure people are watching, trying to get audience members that are new, that alone is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Aside from me sitting here cranking out a 18-hour script and then a video. So yeah, it's a crazy amount of work, man. Aside just from the editing, I would say the editing's the easy part. That's the part where once you start the editing process, you've got a lot more to do afterwards.
Yeah. And so, not only that, but the people, there are people that think that all we do is play video games all day and that we don't have to do and editing a video, all we need to do is just like, copy and cut and that's it. I'm like, no, this is it's something I've said before, and I know you have before as well. It's something anyone can do it, but not everyone's gonna be able to do it because they don't have the fortitude to be able to.
And some channels, to be fair, some channels do that. They'll just play a game, hit record, and throw it up on the channel. But if you're serious about creating original content, that's just not going to cut it. It really isn't, because anyone can do that.
So,
and also,
go for it.
I always say also, if YouTube's not a real job, I would like someone to inform the IRS, because this is the first year. All right, I have 2 kids, so tax season's nice for me, because when you have kids, that's a nice little chunk of change you get for having children. You get the income tax credit or whatever. I don't know what it's called, the child tax credit. So this year was the first year that I was full time. So I had to, put all that on my tax returns. And let me tell you, when I added my kids in there and I saw my tax return, it was like a health bar in a video game. I was so happy. But once I put in all my YouTube information, because I wasn't working a day job and I had my YouTube tax forms, back out. I was like, oh no. But so yeah, if YouTube's not a job, let the government know so I don't have to pay come next tax season.
Oh man,
it sucks.
It really does. And one of the other things too, like I think, because you and I, we talk about this. Yeah, I feel like everything we're going to talk about on this podcast is stuff we talk about daily. But it's like, the time that goes into being a content creator versus a traditional 9-to-5 job. Like, if anyone who says that, oh, I want to be my own boss and be a content creator and it's going to be easy. No, it's not. You're going to work a lot. You may not sleep a whole lot, especially if you want to push yourself. But the difference is you're working and doing things that you enjoy for yourself and for your brand versus working for someone else, making them rich.
Yep, you nailed it. And also, onto what you said about not having that much time. Before I went full time, I had this mentality of, I'm gonna have all the time in the world. I could do 1 million videos a week. I could do this and that. No, that's not. There will always be something that takes up your time. There's always something that takes up your time. One of the biggest obstacles. I'm laughing because I'm reading Rogue Dragon's comment there. YouTube one hit KO'd favorites taxes. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying already.
Oh man.
What was I just saying? That threw me off my balance.
No, you were talking about all the free time you were having.
Oh, right. Yeah, so there's always going to be something that fills up your time. And one of the biggest obstacles, it's like, once I went full-time, my obstacles just shot up because you have to deal with people in your social life that see you not going to a 9-to-5. So they think you're just free all the time. And you got to deal with all the, well, you're just playing a game. Why can't you do this and that? It's like, I'm just playing a game. Like, I've got 40 hours left in this game where I'm recording all this footage for like a 15-minute video. That's going to take me a week to produce. So all that stuff increases when you get a day job out of the way. But honestly, as hard as it is and as stressful as it is weekly, it really is. I've never felt more alive just creating content. It's what I do. It's what I plan to always do from here on out. So it really is. I mean, it's a blessing in disguise full of stress. But I love to do it.
And I love the fact that you said, like, it's the most alive you feel, because I feel that now too. I'm 2 months in and it's stressful. And at times, sometimes I feel really overwhelmed, but it is literally the most alive I've ever felt. And I want to say since I was in college and didn't really have to have a job, like it's, of course it's a pay cut, but it's, I want to stress that feeling alive sometimes is not always feeling comfortable, but it's the fact that, your journey, your destination, and your life's your goals are all in your hands. Your success and your failures are up to you. You're not an autonomous machine. Just, I punch in and I do what I'm told to do and then I punch out. No, like
Yeah.
you're living.
Yeah, and that's what the average 9 to 5, for some people that works fine. Some people love that.
Yeah.
I can't, man. Like that the whole 9 to 5 situation is meant to make you feel like a gear in the machine. You're just going in, doing the same thing. And I mean, that's a lot of the reason. Should I go into how I started YouTube? Do you want me to go into that?
Go for it.
Because it's, and I'll get serious for a moment there, because I know you know the story, but I know some people viewing probably won't. When I first started, man, I used to work for American Express a couple of years back. Go back a couple of years before I started the channel. That company, and I name drop them because I can't stand them. Like, so if any of you from American Express are watching, go subscribe to my channel, drop a like. And this channel.
Ooh, we got one dislike.
But in all seriousness, aside from that, I've never been with a company that abuses its employees mentally and emotionally as much as that company. Like, it was, on paper, it was a dream job, made a ton of money. I mean, it was like $18 an hour working from home, where in Florida, that's a ton of money in Florida.
Yeah.
But it was like 18 hours working from home, dream job on paper, just perfect schedule. But it was such a soul sucking job that I would wake up in the morning, sit in my computer chair, take calls all day and have people yelling at me. And I had a family tragedy that I won't go into while I was working there. And I had a family member that died in a really, really bad way. So the day this happened, and this is kind of the day I started thinking, like, F this company. Like, I told my manager, first thing, as a human being, if someone tells you something like that and you work that day, you're going to ask them, like, are you okay? Like, is there anything we can do for you? You know what they asked me? Do you have any sick time or vacation time left? That's it. And I called out and I got a write-up. So, my God. But anyways, fast forward another couple of years, me and my current fiance, she was my girlfriend at the time, we moved in together, and I got in such a bad state of mind where, like, I'm not a depressed person. I want to start off by saying that because I know a lot of people on YouTube try to act like they're mental health experts. Yeah. I'm not. I don't know anything about mental health. All I know is I'm not a depressed person. I've never had that mental difficulty. Yeah. But when I first moved in with my fiance, she worked at American Express too. We were both working from home. We were both miserable. Like, it was, I'd wake up in the morning, and if I worked that day, a lot of the times I would just sit in the shower and just break down. Like, it was the lowest point that I ever felt, where it's just like, I thought I had no future. I was like, this is it. Like, this is all I'm going to do. And my fiance, she recommended I go to a doctor because she didn't know what was up. I didn't realize what was up at the time either. So I go to a doctor, and it's insane how they diagnose these things, because she gave me a sheet of paper with some check boxes that just asked me the most basic questions, like, do you ever feel this? Do you ever feel that? And she's like, oh, you got depression. Here's a prescription. And I was like, wait, hold on. Like, it always felt wrong to me. So for like a month after that, she had me on these pills that didn't do anything. And like I told you before, the reason I said I'm not a depressive person is because I don't have depression. I know some people actually have that. I didn't. For me, I knew something was causing it. And then it just hit me like, it's this job. Like, it's this job. Like, I can't, every single job I was going to at the time was just call center, customer service. And mind you, I had a bachelor's degree in business management, which for me, it didn't do a thing. It was just kind of a waste of money and time. So one day,
we can't get that back.
Yeah. No, but one day I was talking to my manager, and then I got another write-up because they were already looking to get rid of me because honestly, my performance sucked. I didn't care about the job. I wanted out. So I got sick of it. I told my manager I quit after she wrote me up again because I was looking at my schedule while I was on the clock, and everybody did that all the time. So that's how I started the whole YouTube thing. I had started getting the idea to start a channel. My fiance said, you know what? I see how miserable you are. Do something you enjoy and we'll make it work.
Yeah.
So I quit. I just quit the job. I left from one day to the next. I told him I was done. I started my channel. And I mean, it's been slow growth from there. I mean, some people say I grew really fast. I still think it's pretty slow, but that's the way it should be, you know? But that's the thing. Like I want people to take away from that is if you're ever in a situation like that, I mean, whether it's work related or relationship, whatever it may be, there's always a way out. There's usually an underlying cause causing that. So you really should work to identify it and then fix it. Because you know how many people I talk to that always tell me like, I wish I had another job. I wish this, I wish that. Like you have to just make a decision. Like I got to the point where I got mad. I was mad that this is not the life I'm living. Like I refuse to live this life. So now here I am a couple years later doing this full time. And it's all because, you know, I just decided to do it one day and stuck with it.
Yeah. You know, and I think the biggest thing too is how, you know, we're raised as, you know, within American societies, we gotta, you know, go to school, get a good education, get a job, and that's it. Like that's the epitome of what we're gonna do. We're gonna do basically the same type of slavery for the next 20, 30, 40 some years, then retire when we can't really enjoy life to the fullest and then die.
What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point of working a 9 to 5 if you're too miserable to enjoy the paycheck you're making?
Yeah.
You know, and for me, another thing to follow up on, like the second I left the job, I specifically remember the next day waking up and it was like this just aura just lifted off my shoulders. Like it was just this huge weight just lifted off my shoulders. Now, that doesn't mean that, you know, deciding to start a channel and go full time on YouTube is easy. It's harder than anything I've ever done.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it shouldn't be easy. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah. That's definitely true. And, you know, for the audience who may not know, Fabian and I, we have the same background when it comes to marketing, same background when it comes to our college degrees, and same type of working. Like our last jobs were basically the same. We were both in call centers, and that is one of the most mind-numbing and soul-crushing fields to be in. Like yeah. I have no idea how I lasted the years that I was in, but literally, you know, coming off of me having cancer and dealing with that, and then, you know, trying to maintain a marriage and just being miserable because you're being yelled at work every time that they feel like they want to. It's one of those jobs where it's a thankless position. They don't care when things are going well, but the minute something's not going well, they will, you know, they'll crap all over you. You know, for me, I worked for, and I'll drop the name, I don't fucking care anymore, Hawaii Pacific Health. You're in Hawaii, don't work for that company. And, you know, the stuff that I dealt with, you know, and I'm like you, I'm not a depressive person. And so it's like when you get to that point where you're just literally sitting in the shower and you're just like wondering, like, is this it? Is this my life? You know, why am I so miserable? And it's like you're trying to pinpoint what it is exactly. And then, you know, when you figure out what it is and you get rid of it, yeah, you're losing the paycheck of whatever it was you're making, but you get your sanity, you get your health back, you get your happiness, and you take your life, you know, the reins of your life back. And I think a lot of people, especially ones I've talked to, they're like, oh, I just need this job because I need this money. And it's like, money is not going to guarantee you health and happiness.
No, it's not. Yeah. And it affects you as a person. It really does. After years of that, it changes who you are.
Yeah.
You know, I remember getting off, like, it'll affect your relationship. Like, I remember me and my fiance, like, we used to argue a lot more because we were both at the same job and we were both miserable. Like, what's going to happen when you both clock out and you're both living together and you're both just upset about the day? There's nothing positive to talk about, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not trying to bash anyone that is okay with those jobs or enjoys them, because there's a job out there for everyone. You know, there's always someone that'll enjoy a job. But if you're a creative person, if you are on this earth with some kind of creative gene or whatever you want to call it, Like you're destroying yourself sitting in these jobs that you don't have to do. And I understand money is important. My whole point is it shouldn't override your own self-worth. Your own self-worth and well-being, you know. And I didn't go full-time when I started my channel. I didn't go full-time until last year. I'm going towards year number 4 now. During those times, I just went looking for like, you know, smaller part-time jobs that honestly I didn't even take seriously. They were just literally there to do a paycheck, jobs that wouldn't interfere with my schedule, that wouldn't interfere with my mental health too much, just to have a paycheck. And then when I got to the point where I could support myself month to month, that's when I made the decision to just drop everything and just do this. And let me tell you, man, like there's no better feeling than doing this full time. I know people have their complaints about YouTube and whatever. Every site you create on, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, whatever, they all have their problems. It's about, you know, those problems are what kind of weeds out who's going to make it and who's not, because it's about overcoming those problems. And what are you going to do when you encounter them? Are you just going to give up and put it all aside, or are you just going to figure out how to make it? You know, exactly. It's tough. It is completely tough.
And you've been at YouTube. You started your channel about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago.
April 2016 is when I posted my first video, which sucks ass. That video sucks, but I always like to make fun of myself on that because I have a friend that just started YouTube a couple months back. And he's always complaining about different things on the platform. I'm like, man, you got a long way to go if this is what you're complaining about. And I told him, he's always like, oh, do you think your first videos are as good as the ones you do now? I was like, hell no. Like every creator, if you go back to your first videos, every creator thinks their own videos suck at the beginning. Mine did. But that's the thing. You grow and you learn. And I like keeping them on there almost like a history lesson, so you can go back and see how garbage it was.
Yeah. So effectively, we started the same year. You started in April, and I kickstarted my YouTube career in August of that same year. So I would say you grew pretty quickly, man.
Yeah, it was. It's funny because the reason I grew initially. When I first started the channel, it was the first year. You're gonna really, if you're doing it right, you're really just gonna test the waters, what you want to do. I wasn't sure how my channel's identity was gonna be. You know, I was like, am I just gonna do game reviews? Am I gonna do movie reviews? I started doing both. Then when I saw X-Men Apocalypse, when I saw that movie, I was like, you know what? I should do an X-Men timeline because everyone was so confused about these movies. So I was like, I'm going to explain all the movies in order. And that video got like 13,000 views, which back then, that was, to me, that was the equivalent of getting like 1 trillion views. Because back then, if I got more than 20 or 30 views at the beginning, that was good to me. But then eventually I started deciding to do the same thing for the Castlevania videos. And as you know, a bunch of people on my channel popped up from those videos. But I wasn't even good. It was just something. All right. The reason I did it to begin with was because I was itching to play through the whole series again. I was like, man, I feel like playing Castlevania games again. But I feel bad because when I play a game, and this is something I got to work on. When I play games for fun, I feel bad. I feel like I should be doing it for the channel, recording or streaming or doing something work related.
I feel the same way.
Yep. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to play Castlevania. I'm going to do a whole timeline on it. It was just like a side thing I was doing. And halfway through it, I was like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's extremely taxing on me. But then I just kept doing it. One of my buddies actually kind of motivated me. He's like, you already started. You're halfway through. Just finish it. I was like, oh, God. And I did it. And then it blew up. And I'm like, what the hell? I was like, people at the time, I was like, people still care about Castlevania? And like, because in my group of friends, I was always the hardcore gamer. I was always the one that like, man, I love Castlevania. And then you'd have your close friends that would be like, what's that? I'm like, God, like I've always been like that. So I've never had those friends that know all these huge video game franchises that, you know, they would play games here and there when they can. Since I was a kid, I was born with a controller in my hand. So I did that. And then I did not realize the massive fan base that Castlevania still has. So that's how my channel initially started, you know, gaining traction. And then from there, I just kind of adjusted the kind of content I make. one thing I used to do when I first started, I don't know if you did this too when you first started. I was so anal about schedule. I was like, I used to be like, I'm going to do one review a week or one game review, one
Oh
movie,
God.
one let's play. When I used to do pre-recorded let's plays every single week, and if I missed one, it would ruin my whole week. If someone unsubscribed, it would ruin my whole day.
Yep.
So, and that's just stuff you have to learn. Now I'm more willy-nilly on the schedule. So it's like now I just kind of do things when I feel like it. And I find that works, because once you start putting yourself on a really strict schedule, that might work for some, but then it just feels like a day job.
Yeah.
But some people need that structure, So, to me that sucks. I just can't, because week to week to week doing that. Like, say for example, this week I have scheduled that I have to do this review. Well, what if when I start making that video, I don't feel like playing that game and I want to do something else? I don't like restricting myself like that. But I'd say like the first year when I started YouTube, I was strict on myself, and it was just it was a challenge to get out of that. I'll say to say the least.
Oh man, I remember my first year going full time. Well, not my first year going full time. My first year in YouTube, I was super strict with my streams, my reviews. I was like, oh, I got to get like 5 reviews or 5 videos up a week, 5 reviews. Yeah. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah. And that's another thing. I know exactly where you're coming from with that. I told you this a while back. I said you can't do too much, because when you're doing too much on the channel, you don't realize it until you're burnt out.
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize it. And some people have I can't imagine being someone that uploads every single day. Like, that creates content every single day, But when I first started, there was a point where I was doing 4 videos a week. And after like a month, I was like, I can't keep this up. It's not possible. So you always have to find that, comfort level where your audience is going to be happy and you're not going to be destroyed by the end of the month, There's a balance to everything.
Definitely, man, definitely. And so you said you were born with a controller in your hand. So take us back.
Damn
Let's
right.
step into DeLorean and let's go back in time. And what was your first gaming experience that really got you hooked?
I could write a book on that. All right, my first memories of video games, I was born in 86. Most people would say NES. At the time, my sisters are like 12 years older than me. I have a sister, she's like 12 years older than me. Mm-hmm. So they were in high school when I was born. So what we had in the house was the Atari 2600. So that was my first video game console that I remember. I remember playing Moon Patrol, Donkey Kong, Empire Strikes Back, the shitty Spider-Man game. So those are my first experiences I remember. But then when the NES came out, I know that's the go-to answer for everyone, but it's true. If you were born in the 80s and you grew up late 80s, early 90s, NES is really what made you a gamer. Like, it was the original Nintendo. And for me, I remember I still have a photo somewhere of me opening it, and it was the action set that came with the zapper, and it was Mario Brothers and the Duck Hunt combo cartridge. That, Mega Man 3, the original Legend of Zelda, those were the games that made me a gamer. And Super Contra. I played Super Contra before Contra. But those games made me a huge gamer, and those games made you tigers, man. That's why I always say, like, no, games today. See, I'm getting off topic now, man. But games today have such a habit of holding your hand.
Yes.
I despise tutorial levels. It's like, don't tell me how to jump when I was playing Contra without instructions when I was in diapers. So, but yeah, that was my first gaming experience. What's your first gaming experience, actually?
Dude, my first gaming experience, I shit you not, was Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest.
Oh, I hated that game.
You know what's funny is I have it's a game I love because it's my first game. And the other thing too is, the part where you go and you gotta kneel at Deborah's cliff with the crystal.
Yeah, the red crystal, and then the stupid whirlwind comes and takes you.
Yeah. So my brothers couldn't figure that out, and then they let me just play, and then one day I figured that out for them. I think I was like 3 or 4 years old, and then like from that point onward, I was just hooked on that game, and then I just kept playing it, and then I ended up beating that. And the next game I started playing was the original Double Dragon, and then I went from Double Dragon to Ninja Gaiden 2, Dark Sword Chaos. We never had complete sets of games like for the series.
Yeah, you
So
exactly. You had bits and pieces. That's how I was.
right. So I used to love Ninja Gaiden 2, Dark Sword Chaos just because the music and the graphics and the story always had me hooked, but the game is so damn hard. But I was like, I want to see the next cutscene, so I would keep playing it over and over until I got it. So it's like when the games are coming out now, like you remember, okay, so you remember back when Ninja Gaiden came out on the Xbox and everyone talked about how hard it was, right? And then Devil May Cry 3 being so hard, and I'm over here like
Child's play compared to NES games.
Cake.
Yeah. Let me tell you about Ninja Gaiden 2 on the NES. I have a beef with that game because when I was a kid, that was one of my favorite NES games, but I could never beat it as a kid because I had this old ass CRT TV that every couple of minutes the screen would go black and I had to punch the side of it repeatedly to get the screen back on. I have a photo of that TV somewhere, but it had these huge antenna on the top to watch TV. But every time, you know the wind levels where you have to jump and then the wind's pushing you?
Yeah.
I specifically remember never being able to pass that because when I would jump, my TV would go black. And I'd have to punch it back and then I'd be at like the title screen because I got a game over. Like, yeah, that's it. Playing with an old TV like that was a nightmare, man. Especially those games. But yeah, like I said, games today. My kid, I bought him Luigi's Mansion 3. And it's funny because my fiance, she was like, "You're so mean," but I was like, "No, these kids are gelatin now." He was playing Luigi's Mansion 3, and I'm watching him play, and he's fighting this boss, and he's like, "Huh, this boss is a little tough." And he's like, "Can you help me?" And I looked at him, I was like, "I didn't get help playing Contra or Battletoads." So, but you know what? He died like 20 times, but he ended up beating him, and I was like, "You are now a better gamer. You're now a better gamer." Some people see that as cruel. It's training. It's training.
No, but I think you and I were talking about this the other day. We were talking about how, like, the games that we grew up playing that were super hard, like how they taught us how to be more critical thinking, like, and make decisions on the fly. Because it's like when you're playing, you literally had to. Like, imagine Battletoads, the hover bike level.
Oh yeah,
you have a split second to make a decision.
I would argue that you have less than a split second. Like in Turbo Tunnel, God, I'm streaming that this Sunday.
Go for it.
I'm streaming it this Sunday.
I'm gonna be there.
Battletoads Arcade, Battletoads Super Nintendo, and the NES game. So yeah, you guys will see me do the Turbo Tunnel. But yeah, those are the games that I grew up with. And then when the Super Nintendo came, let me tell you, the Super Nintendo, I was already into video games by the time that came out, but that I would argue that revolutionized gaming for me more so than the NES. Because when I played, my God, when the original Mega Man X came out, that's still my favorite video game of all time. The original Mega Man X of all time.
No. Sir.
What is that?
Sir.
Wait, is that sealed?
Yes, sir.
Well, let me give you my P.O. box. You can send it to me. I love X2 also, but Mega Man X, I have such a I have such fondness to it because it's the one game that I played so much. I played it so damn much that I know every nook and cranny. I could blow through it real quick. I know every secret, and I replayed it over and over and over. That game just revolutionized gaming for me. And Link to the Past also. That one is what really, because when I was a kid, I didn't really like the original Zelda that much. I played it and I didn't know, I was too young to know what to do. I was like, where do I go? Like I beat like 2 or 3 dungeons and then I just wander around lost. And, I was a kid. I didn't have money to be buying guides and we didn't have internet to be looking stuff up. So, but when Link to the Past came out, that made so many improvements over the original. That made me love the Zelda series. And then I went back and played the others. And from there, I just fell in love with that series. Castlevania too, that Castlevania,
my God.
all those games, man. And those are the same games that everyone says, but there's a reason for that. Like they had such an impact on our generation of gamers that there's never going to be anything like that. There's never going to be anything at that level of greatness, in my opinion.
No. And the other thing too, this is completely off topic, but since we are on the topic of the 80s and 90s, I think a lot of the younger generation now that's all into this whole console wars, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC. You guys don't understand what a war is until you lived in the 90s and the 80s.
Oh man, that was you would have like playground beefs.
Right?
Like you'd be sitting
Literally.
there like, oh my god. Yeah, you'd be sitting there like, no, I like Nintendo 64. And then a kid would be like, well, I like PlayStation. And then the other kid would jump in and be like, Gay Station. And it's like, but that's how it was.
Yeah.
Like people would just say these stupid things where when you were a kid, that was fighting words. Like that was no, I'm throwing down. Like you're not disrespecting Mario 64 in front of me. But now as an adult, it's just like, how old are you? Like none of these companies care about you. I'll say this. In our time, I feel the console wars were a lot more valid. And hear me out. Because you can have, for example, Power Rangers on Super Nintendo, Power Rangers on Sega Genesis. Two completely different games. So there was a debate to be had which one's better. Now, if I play Resident Evil 2 on Xbox One, Resident Evil 2 Remake, by the way, on Xbox One, and then I played on PS4, I'm playing the same damn game. Yeah. Like, graphically, it's pretty much the same. I mean, you could argue technicalities, whatever. It's the same damn game. So now I think the console wars are more irrelevant than ever. Yeah. At least when we were kids, like, there was a little bit of ground for arguing for your console or not. Now it's just like, we just have different games select. Like, it's the same shit. Yeah. Like, I have Xbox One. I have a PS4. I love them both. I also have my Switch for the Nintendo exclusives. To me, real gamers play games because they're good games, not whatever controller I'm using or whatever console I'm using. Yeah. Everyone's got a preference, but if you're still arguing console wars, like, you're not a gamer. Like you're just obsessed with, you're just for some reason loyal to one specific company that doesn't care about you.
It's the people that cancel their pre-orders of Death Stranding because it got announced for PC, and now they're feeling betrayed by Sony, and it's like, I don't understand this. I don't understand this logic at all.
You can still buy it on PS4 though,
but it's not exclusive.
And
that's their argument.
Like, but okay. See, my question is, did those same people complain about Devil May Cry 5? Because that wasn't exclusive. Do you remember when it was?
Yep.
Devil May Cry was PS2 exclusive for a while. Devil May Cry for years. Some younger gamers now may not realize that, but Devil May Cry for years was a PlayStation thing. Mm-hmm. So was Metal Gear. So was Final Fantasy. That's the whole thing about exclusives. Like, they're not always going to be exclusive. I remember having Resident Evil 4 only for GameCube, and now it's been re-released on freaking Tiger Electronic LCD watches.
On your phone.
Like, they have it on everything, like Resident Evil, freaking Resident Evil 4 on the R Zone. You remember the R Zone?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean, man. If you're not going to play a game just because it's exclusive, you're probably going to miss out on a good game.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, I have my preference in controllers. Like, I like first-person shooters on Xbox. I like fighting games with that PS4 D-pad. But at the end of the day, I don't care what console's processing it.
Yeah. I think the best example too, like, of a good console exclusive argument back in the day, Aladdin on the Genesis and on the Super Nintendo.
So good. Let me tell you something. I felt robbed with that game because I remember, I don't know, birthday or Christmas or something, I got the Super Nintendo game and I was like, this is a cool game. I really enjoyed it. But then I rented the Genesis game and I was like, I felt so betrayed. I was like, why didn't I get this one? Like, what the hell? Like, you have a sword? The Sega Genesis one, by the way, that just came out. I got to download it.
Yep.
They got the remaster, whatever. I forgot about that. But you're right. That is one situation where I feel the Genesis version, the Genesis version of some games was mind blowing for some of them. Another one I think of, did you ever play Power Rangers the movie? The game?
Mm-hmm.
The Super Nintendo version has nothing to do with the movie. It's kind of boring, honestly. And then at the end, you fight Ivan Ooze out of nowhere, and you're like, wait a minute, where was he the whole rest of the time? But then you play the Sega Genesis version, and it's all based on the movie. And it has an awesome soundtrack. It plays really well, but it's the same game when you're looking at the box. Like, it's the same game. But when you play it, completely different game. Like, you don't... I would... This is probably not a popular opinion, but I would love if we got back to those days where, let's say they come out with Resident Evil 8 on PS4, and then Resident Evil 8 on Xbox, and it's two completely different games. That'd be cool, I think. People would complain about it, but that's how it used to be.
Yeah.
That's how things used to be. That used to be normal.
You know how people are they were up in arms when Bayonetta became exclusive to Nintendo, and it's like, if it wasn't for Nintendo, we wouldn't have gotten Bayonetta 2, because Sony and Microsoft didn't have any interest in making it. Sega surely wasn't going to make it, and then they had no interest in making Bayonetta 3. So it's like, I don't know, people with this whole like mentality of one piece of plastic is better than the next. It's like, you have your preferences, yes, but at the end of the day, if you're a gamer, it doesn't matter what you game on.
Yeah. I have a couple friends like that will... I have one friend in particular, he will not touch an Xbox. Just because. But it's funny because when I question him, there's never a legit answer. It's always like, because PlayStation's better. And I was like, yeah, but why? And he's like, well, they have Uncharted. And it's like, okay, well, that's it. Like, that's not a valid reason, you know? I don't know. People have their opinions. I can't relate to that. I play on whatever. I'm not even a big PC gamer, but if there's a Steam exclusive, for example, that's really good, I'll stream it and I'll play it and I'll enjoy it. Like, I don't care. At the end of the day, I just want good games. You know, that's what's going to sell. You make a good game, I'm going to buy it.
Okay, so I got to ask you this question, since you say you will play a game on Steam if you have to. So, what are your thoughts on Streets of Rage 4 graphics?
Streets of Rage 4? I'm incredibly excited about that game. Like, I know you had some criticisms about it, because I think we've spoken about this. I might have blinders on, but I'm such a huge Streets of Rage fan that they could probably do whatever and I'll like it. But I genuinely like the art style. That's one thing I've heard complaints about, and the way it plays. I think it looks good. And I go back to Battletoads, because Battletoads is a questionable art style. I'll be the first one to say that. But when I played it at E3, it plays so damn good. It plays really good. It was a ton of fun. So if Streets of Rage 4 feels like a good beat 'em up like it used to back in the day, I mean, I think it looks good. What's your opinion on Streets of Rage 4?
I'm not a fan of the art style, and I just feel like with the games that have been coming out since, you know, from not only fan games, but a lot of indie companies as well, like, if it's just a reskin of Streets of Rage 2 and 3, I'm going to be super critical. Like, I'm going to put them on blast, because you got games like Fighting Rage, which is incredibly amazing. That one guy made that. And then you got River City Girls, which took the old formula and just took it to a new plateau. And you've got, I don't know if you've heard this game called The Takeover, which has the majority of the original Streets of Rage team working on it, and Yuzo Koshiro doing the soundtrack.
I haven't heard of it. I'll have to look that up.
Dude, it's so good.
I agree with you, though. I agree with you on the point you make about Streets of Rage. I don't want it to feel like a reskin either. Because you know what game felt like that, in my opinion? Double Dragon 4. I love Double Dragon Neon. Double Dragon Neon became my favorite Double Dragon of all time. Like, it had such a cool vibe to it. It played really well. I love the art style. It felt like an evolution of Double Dragon.
You don't mean Way of the Dragon?
4. The what?
You don't mean Double Dragon 2, Wander of Dragons? The X
Man. Just for that one, I got something for you.
What?
Your favorite movie of all. He hates this movie so much that I always keep it nearby to show it on camera in these emergency scenarios. It's like when you have an axe and it's like break the glass for emergency. Instead of an axe, I've got King of Fighters.
God.
No, but okay. Double Dragon 2 Wander of Dragons is on my list of the top like 5 games, the worst games I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
That game's, it's not even a game. I don't know what it is. It's a thing that exists. Double Dragon 2 on NES rocks. Yeah. That's different. But oh no, what I was saying about Double Dragon 4, it just felt like a reskin of NES Double Dragon. It felt like they did nothing new. It even had the same, you know how those old NES games, a lot of them had some mechanics that don't hold up really well. Mm-hmm. This one still carried those over. Instead of trying to take that graphical style and really evolve it into something better, they just copy and pasted it. I didn't feel like I was playing anything new. I really didn't like Double Dragon 4. Neon, though, to me was the way to go. I love Neon.
Yeah.
And we need a Double Dragon and Battletoads 2 crossover in that style. I would love that.
Dude, I was talking to the folks at Way Forward after I interviewed them. They want to do that so badly.
Way Forward would be the perfect people. Way Forward, I have such a good relationship with them because they're my favorite current studio. Mm-hmm. Like modern day game developers, Way Forward are every game they come out with, I fall in love with. And which I don't understand the internet as a whole because a lot of times their games get crapped on by a lot of people. Yeah. Which I like the DuckTales remaster, Double Dragon 4, the Shantae games. I mean, they're for little girls, but I love them. Like those games are awesome, man. The Shantae games are fun as hell. They really are. And then the Mummy Demastered, when that game came out,
dude, that was a masterpiece.
People didn't like it. A lot of people didn't like it. I gave that game such a glowing review. I fell in love with that game, man. I loved it. But it blew my mind so much because the movie was horrible. Mm-hmm. Like the Tom Cruise Mummy, whatever. It was such a bad movie. And then here comes Way Forward, and they make a game, and it's one of my favorite games of that year.
Yep.
So that's why Way Forward, man. If anyone from Way Forward is here watching, keep it up. Like I will buy every single game you make. River City Girls, I actually was playing that with my fiance, and it's oh my god, it's such a fun game. Like it has such a personality. And honestly, the older River City Ransom games, I don't enjoy them so much. I didn't grow up playing those. I didn't grow up playing River City Ransom, so I don't have that nostalgia for them. And to me, I don't. I'm used to fighters or beat 'em ups like Final Fight that are super polished and really smooth. And I don't feel the older, River City Ransom games feel that way. But River City Girls, day one bought it, never regretted it. Absolutely fell in love with that game.
Yep. And, since you said Final Fight, there is a new one in the works.
Second favorite game of all time.
They are, from what I understand, from the person I know who's working on the soundtrack, who does the intro sound, to my podcast. They're going for a Street Fighter 5 style look with a little bit more grittiness to it, and it would probably be set around the Cody being mayor.
That's awesome. Well, it makes sense because as well as I do that Street Fighter 5, they've been injecting so much Final Fight into that.
Yeah.
Like that, it's blatantly obvious something's happening.
Yeah.
Like they've got Mayor Cody, Poison, the chick from Final Fight 3 that's never been in a Street Fighter game, but now she's in there. Like they're putting, and then we've got Mad Gear members that are popping up left and right. So it's just obvious something's happening. I think they're testing the waters with it, but if they make another Final Fight, I'm all over that. I second favorite game of all time is Final Fight 1. I hated Final Fight 2. I don't like Final Fight 2 at all. Yeah, but Final Fight
terrible.
Yeah, I streamed it and it was just I didn't care for it. Yeah, it's and if I remember correctly, I think that one was just ridiculously over the top easy.
Yeah.
To where it just it's not fun that way, But 1 and 3's got a kick-ass soundtrack. I love Final Fight 3.
Yeah. They're because I know with Street Fighter, like there's a fan that put out I think his name Boss Logic or something. He put out something of a
teaser. The guy does the fan art.
Yeah, he's putting out a teaser for Street Fighter 6. And the producer Yoshinori Ono, he had to tweet because he's like, hey, you're like 10 years too early. Yeah, and then the fan base or the FGC, they were all upset that he made that tweet because they're like, oh, we hate 5, and I'm thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, But I feel like every single Street Fighter that has come out since Street Fighter 3 or the late 90s rather, they've shit on.
Yeah.
Every single one. And then they go back and say, "Oh, I love this. I love Street Fighter 3." No, you didn't. You didn't play it when it was out.
I think what it is, and this is just my opinion, I think what it is that there is a segment of the Street Fighter fan base that holds 3 at like this unreachable plateau at the top.
Yeah.
So anything that comes out after, my favorite is Super Street Fighter 4. I loved 4.
Yeah.
4 was amazing and introduced Juri, who became my favorite character in Street Fighter of all time. But I think that's what it is, really. I could be wrong about that, but Street Fighter 6, honestly, before that, I want Darkstalkers. Like, I've been wanting, whenever they came out with what was it called on the PS3 days? Whenever the Resurrection or something? The collection, They had 1, 2, and 3. I know back then, not Marvel, Capcom was testing the waters to see if they got enough sales from that. And nobody bought it, so they didn't make Darkstalkers 4. But I bought that day one just because I want Darkstalkers 4 so bad. And I think, since the PS1, we haven't had a new one, new main entry in the series, really. I mean, imagine what they could do with it now, like with that Street Fighter 4 and 5 style, but with Darkstalkers, people would buy it. I mean, I think Capcom, I have such respect for Capcom because I criticize them to hell. I used to. Before, going back a couple years, like I'm talking like late PS3 era, when they were just all over the place coming out with subpar products besides their fighting games. Their fighting games have remained good. But now I feel that they've done such a turnaround in quality. I mean, they were pumping out the Mega Man 11 I loved, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Street Fighter 5 came out, which I didn't like how that launched, but the game is great. The game itself is great. So Capcom is just on this, it seems like this unstoppable rise back to their former glory. So I have such respect for that company now. Konami, not so.
I was waiting for you to say it.
I have such a pent-up rage.
and love.
It's a love-hate relationship with Konami because I love their history of games so much that I want them to be better. And I understand they're a Japanese business. As long as they're making their money in Japan, they don't care about anything that's going on over here. I get that. But as a gamer and a fan of their series, mind you, I haven't played Road Core yet. It's been on my PS4 since it came out and I haven't touched it yet. So I can't judge it yet myself. But putting Road Core aside, we'll do them, definitely. But putting Road Core aside, just the last great thing I feel they did was Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate. Because I didn't like 2 that much. After that, I feel like Konami just died. There's no new Castlevanias, no Silent Hill, no Contras. They're doing all these pachinko machines. I want to see them back to where they were. Which I don't even know how it would be if they turned around and suddenly wanted to be Capcom and just get back in the winning graces of gamers again. Because do they even have the talent left anymore? It feels like everyone already left the company, all their talented developers.
I think so. They don't have, because they don't have the Silent Hill team anymore. They don't have they don't have Kojima. They don't have what's the other series that they had?
Metal Gear, Silent Hill, Castlevania.
Yeah, Castlevania. They don't have the Castlevania guy, but the guy Koji Igarashi, he's willing to go back to make another. He wants to make Battle of 99.
I think every Castlevania fan wants that. That it's so. God, that's another whole topic, Castlevania. Because even with Castlevania, there's so many holes in the story.
Yeah.
That have remained unexplained, where the series just skipped around, and that's the big one. That's the big one that never got addressed. So I think, I don't know how Konami doesn't realize this. If they come out with a Demon Castle War 1999 game, every single Castlevania fan is going to buy it. There's not one that won't buy that game. So that's what I mean. I'm not going to bash a company just to bash them, because companies have their ups and downs.
Yeah.
But I want Konami to be where Capcom is now. And they used to be in the same place in my mind. But I think Capcom has just elevated themselves so much above Konami that it makes them look really bad. And I just want them to get back to where they were. I want all those games back. I want that quality. Do you remember back in like the Super Nintendo days, the original Konami, like, and you had that like little purple laser come down and the orange and red logo? You knew you were in for a quality experience whenever you saw that. Where is that now?
You know, one franchise I want them to bring back, and they kind of sort of did, but they didn't. It didn't do well. I want them to bring back Sparkster.
Oh man, I used to love Rocket Knight.
Yep.
Oh my god, that was they did bring it back for PS3. You remember they had like a little downloadable. It was okay. It wasn't bad, but it was very forgettable.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't like about that is the original Sparkster was very cool to look at, very bright colors. And then this new one was just kind of bland looking. But I agree with that. Sparkster, if that came back. But that's what I mean. They have such a massive library of titles that fans are just oozing at the mouth to come back. Yeah. Speaking of which,
man.
Speaking of which, I like that Capcom is talking about reviving old IPs.
Yes.
Because what does that mean? It's not Resident Evil because that's already revived. So if you go through their catalog, I mean, are we getting another Dino Crisis? I think it's possible. You know,
they want to do another Strider because that remake was good.
I love that remake. People have been asking me since I started streaming, and since I started streaming, I have requests up the ass for games. I literally have a notebook just filled with games that I'm going to get to eventually. I've had Strider since day one on that list, and I still haven't gotten to it. But Strider, I got that on Xbox One when it first came out. That's another game I fell in love with this generation. I love that game. It was such an awesome, and graphically, it looked really good. Wasn't it made by was it Havoc or something?
Havoc Studios.
Yeah, Havoc. They're not around anymore, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they did such a good job with that series. So if Capcom brought that back, I'd buy it day one. But Dino Crisis is the one I've been more so than a new Dino Crisis. I want a Dino Crisis remake in the style of Resident Evil 2. I think that'd be awesome.
Oh man, can you imagine? And I think we are in this resurgence of Capcom being. I think it's safe to say Capcom is back and they're willing to make more risks or take more risks. And I think also because the last decade or so, they weren't doing so hot. Like, especially with the PlayStation 3, 360 era, I feel like a lot of the Japanese companies kind of lost their way in that era.
For sure.
So I do think Capcom is going to come back with I think there's too many hints in Street Fighter 5 that they're going to do Darkstalkers. I mean, the costumes that keep dropping.
That's true.
I think they're just testing the waters. I think they want to bring back Darkstalkers. I think they want to bring back Rival Schools. What else do they have?
I want them to bring back Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yes.
I would love Ghouls and Ghosts. They need to bring that back hard.
You remember the Maximal series? What did you think of that?
You know what's funny? I never played those because when they came out back in the day, I didn't know they were linked to Ghouls and Ghosts. I thought it was a whole separate thing. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't interested in them. But as I got older and I realized they were linked, I was like, what the hell? If I knew that, I would have absolutely played them. So I've gotten that request a lot for those, by the way. So I am going to stream those sometime. But it's going to be fun streaming those because I've never played them. So I'm going to be going in blind to them. I've heard the Maximo series is awesome. I've heard it kicks ass.
Nice. So if they so since we're talking about these Japanese companies, so what is your thoughts on this current Nintendo Switch obsession that content creators and the media have? I hate it. No Switch, no buy.
I hate it for one. I don't hate the Switch. I love the Switch. I think it's a great console. I love mine. Personally, I just use it for exclusives because to me, I'm always going to prefer, I don't care about the portability factor. So for me, I'm always going to prefer to play on a dock. So that means I'm going to buy multi-platform games on Xbox or PS4. But one thing I can't stand about this Switch obsession on YouTube is I feel like, and this doesn't go to everyone, but I'm not going to name drop anyone either. A lot of
That's
creators.
my job.
A lot of creators on YouTube jumped on the Switch hype just to get the views because it's hot right now.
Yeah.
So they focus all their content on Switch, excited about Switch games, and then when a Switch game that they're excited about comes out, they don't even play the damn thing. Like they don't talk about it again. They just build all this hype and then they move on to the next thing. So that's I can't stand all the Switch obsession. It is a great console. It's a genuinely fun console full of awesome games. But I don't think everyone from a creator point of view treats it with that level of respect. I think they're doing it more now because Nintendo stuff gets a lot of views and they want a lot of views. They don't care so much about the games that come out for it. Another thing I can't stand is that nowadays, and you saw this with Devil May Cry 1, a lot of people couldn't care any less about a game until it gets a Switch port. So it's like, well, where were you when Devil May Cry 1 came out? Suddenly, you had all these people that are like, oh, wow, it's coming to the Switch. I'm going to get it. Well, where were you when the HD collection came out a couple of years ago, the 1, 2, and 3, that you can get for like $15 now? Yeah. But you're going to pay like $20 for Devil May Cry 1 by itself on the Switch? I don't get it. I don't get it. It just, I can't relate to it. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's the cult of Switch.
It's just people get excited about something being on a Switch that's been out on a million other, like, you remember when Turok came out?
Yeah.
Dinosaur Hunter? Everyone was excited about that. I had that a year before on Xbox One. People had it a year before that on Steam. So people had it 20 years ago on N64. So that's what, I don't get it. I don't get it.
And, you know, that's one of the things, like, I found a lot of irritation with a lot of these content creators that are these Nintendo Switch channels that and I'll straight say it, you know, I can take the smoke, bring the smoke. I want the smoke. I want the smoke. I can't stand when these fucking channels hype a game to high hell and then that's it. They don't play it. You know, or they throw out these reviews that they probably played like maybe an hour or two of the game. Like, I've seen so many Nintendo Switch channels where they talk about a game and I'm listening to what they're saying in the review and I'm like, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about because you didn't even play the goddamn game. Well,
if you're friends with them, you can see how long they played it.
Yes, and I am.
So, and it's like, wait a minute, what do you mean you played it negative 20 minutes?
Oh no, my god!
I know exactly what you mean, and that's one of my main problems with it. They'll make a video about a game, build up a bunch of hype, get a bunch of views, and then when it comes out, they don't even talk about it, and they'll move on to another one. There are some channels out there that cover Switch stuff that are really good. Yeah. You know, like I think Josh is here. Your player too. He used to do he used to do a lot of like Switch accessories and different things, videos on that. And he has genuinely great stuff. He doesn't just build up a bunch of BS and then never talk about it again. You know, you can tell when someone genuinely likes a game or the products around the console versus someone that's just like, this is hot right now on YouTube. Let me make a bunch of videos about it. And then that's it. Because my thing is, and this is one reason I like to operate my channel the way I do. I like to have a variety of stuff. Because that's how I am in life. I'm not loyal to a specific company, specific game type. I'll play pretty much anything. Besides, I don't care about sports games, but I'll play pretty much anything I enjoy. You know, what's going to happen to these Switch channels when the Switch isn't that hot anymore? It's going to happen. It's a matter of time. Yeah. When the Switch, like when Xbox Scarlet, PS5, whenever the future generation comes out, there's a chance people might not even really talk about the Switch anymore. They might be doing well, but is it still going to be collecting all those massive amount of views? Look what happened. A good example, it's not Nintendo related, but go back a couple of years where all these Call of Duty channels popped up. You know, that was hot. That was the hot thing on YouTube. Everybody was doing it. And then it just died. Now, if you have a just Call of Duty channel, you're probably not getting as many views as you would have years ago. So that's why I think if you're going to be a serious content creator, I do think it's important to have, you know, not put all your eggs in one basket. Have a variety of different things that you like to go over on your channel, you know, without going out of proportion. You know, you don't want to talk about video games and then be cooking a hamburger on stream the next day. You know, it's a completely different thing. But, you know, there's a balance to everything.
You went there.
It's true. Am I wrong?
No.
Like, imagine if tomorrow I post Castlevania Timeline Part whatever, and then 2 days later, I'm like, here I am grilling a cheeseburger. This is how you cut onions. Like, it's a completely different thing, you know? So that's what I mean. You got to balance everything out. And that's, in my opinion, that's really how you future-proof a career on YouTube. You're able to shift to different topics and audiences. Because let's say the Switch dies out, for example. Not the Switch, but let's say Switch videos aren't as popular a year or two from now. Mm-hmm. What if they do switch to a different topic? Like, I don't know, PS5, for the sake of argument. Well, who's to say that their audience is going to care about that? They've all been conditioned already to just watch Switch videos. Okay. You know, so it's future-proofing.
All right. So, are we good on time? We can keep going?
I'm available on that. You go as long as you want.
Okay,
so,
dude, I can talk.
I literally, what I had on my calendar today, I wrote Mortal Kombat video till 3 p.m., Mekel till infinity for the day. So I had you available on my calendar.
I'm inevitable.
I had you on my calendar till whenever you want to.
Okay. So, and folks, I don't know if you guys in the audience realize we have been trying to get this going for almost a year
I was going to mention that. Yeah. Oh my God. That's another thing. Because I remember when I first met you, you reached out to me on Twitter like you do to everyone else. Like, yeah, my name is Mekel, Hawaii's #1 podcast. Would you like to be interviewed? And I was like, you know what? I checked out your channel. I was like, I like this guy's stuff. Sure. I think that was over a year ago now.
Yeah.
So we've just been like, at the time I was so busy. I was like, let's schedule it for January. January came. Something would just always pop up. We actually met in person at E3, have been close friends ever since. And just every month I'm like, I'll be available this day, this day, this day. And it's just, it was usually something on my end. It was usually a scheduling conflict. But now I was like, I'm just going to pick a day in November, put it on the calendar, and that's it. So, yeah, it was a challenge. It was a challenge making time for it, but it's fun, man. I love your podcast. I really do. Like, when I'm editing, and for you guys in the chat that aren't subscribed to him, make sure you do, because seriously, you learn a lot. I've learned a ton from your podcast. I really have, just from people in the industry. Because you interview some people in the industry, and a lot of people have that misconception that you have to be this enormous channel to make contacts and talk to people. I've made a ton of contacts just from stuff I've learned from you and your channel. You know, just how you operate, how you conduct yourself, and how you communicate with companies. And it's such a misconception, and I know you know this, that it's such a myth that you have to be this PewDiePie level size channel to get sponsors or whatever you're trying to do to network yourself and market to companies or even bigger YouTubers. It's about how you talk to people and how you behave, you know?
Yeah. And that's one of the things, like, especially with this podcast, like, as you know, like, this podcast has gone everywhere from politics to voice actors to where it is now, where, you know, it's just my way is what I want to do with the show is like, how can I give back? How can I dispel all this misinformation that's out there? Because as a content creator, there's so much misinformation that is out there, in the sense of, oh, you need, like you said, you got to have, you know, PewDiePie level subscribers to have a company work with you, or you've got to have so many people following you on Twitter, or so many people following you on Instagram, or whatever. And it's not true. Right. And the reason I have found it to not be true, and you know, I'm not gonna, even though I normally name drop, I'm protecting.
You don't want the smoke.
I don't want the smoke from the game industry.
I know what you're saying.
So one of the things that some people, mean people in the gaming industry that I've interviewed, and some that I'm soon to interview, have informed me of, is the reason that your numbers don't really matter is because it's so easy for people to just buy subs or buy numbers. So if a company looks at, like, there are a lot of channels that got 500,000, 300,000, or 1 million subscribers and barely average 1,000 views. So it's like,
well, and another thing too, not even just about views, just overall how you conduct yourself on a public level is really important. For example, I won't name drop, but I was talking to a channel that I was helping that got their channel stolen. Guy had I think it was 300,000 subs or something. So I was telling him what I went through, and I told him I was talking to my YouTube partner manager, which is not an MCN. It's someone, for those that don't know, YouTube will, I don't know how they select creators, but that up and coming creators, they'll reach out to them and assign a point of contact directly within YouTube. So if you ever need anything, you reach out to them. So this guy with 300,000 subs reached out to me, and I'm talking to him about everything that happened to me when I got hacked. And he was like, how did you get a partner manager? I don't have one. But this guy has 300,000 subs, So you would think if numbers were the only thing that mattered, it would be flipped.
Yeah.
But that just doesn't work for sponsors. That works for just across the board, how everyone reacts to you. So it always is important how you conduct yourself publicly.
Yeah.
And, I'm not saying you have to wear a mask, be yourself. Like for me, I mean, you met me in real life. I'm the same way I am on videos. I'm just me,
Yeah.
But it's important to be yourself while at the same time being mindful. This is if you want to be serious about YouTube. If you just do it as a hobby, do whatever you want. But if you want to be serious about YouTube, you do need to be somewhat aware of how your public image looks and how you operate.
Yeah. And I think a lot of content creators, and we're going to dive into, ways for creators can protect their channel, because I really want to touch on that. And I actually want to let you talk about your experience, having your channel taken away, because I'm not going to name names, but I want the smoke. I saw an interview that you were on and the person didn't let you talk. And, we don't play that shit over here.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah. And then, that's how it is. But the whole hacking situation was, this sounds weird, but I think you'll understand what I mean. In a way, I'm kind of grateful for it, because it taught me how unsafe I was. And it was stuff that I could have controlled. So that's why now I'm trying to really reach out to creators and let people know what to do. I won't go into how it happened, because everyone already knows that story already. Fake sponsor reached out, downloaded malware, took my channel from me. But in that time, so I had the same password, like 90% of the population, for everything, just because it's convenience. It's not the safest thing, but you never know something like this. You never think something like this is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
You always hear about it, but it's never going to happen to you. And it happened to me. So I had the same password for everything. I didn't have two-step notification on for YouTube, which honestly, Boogie2988, he had it on and he still got hacked. So that's not even foolproof. To protect yourself as a creator, the best thing to do, you have to have a different password for everything. Have a different password for everything. I have a really complicated password for every single thing now. Back then it was like seven words and a number, 7 letters and a number. That's not safe at all. Have two-step notification on, turn on for everything. And the most important thing is this right here. Security key. This is what I was talking to you about. These things, my buddy Think Noodles, he's another channel that reached out to me and helped me out a little bit. He told me about these. I didn't even know they existed. It's just a little USB device. It's called a security key. It acts as a second verification. So let's see, for example, I'm using someone else's computer. I'm logging into YouTube. It's going to ask me for my password. And the second question it's going to ask, insert your security device. Let's say I get hacked again. What are they going to do at that point? Yeah. They don't have the device. You stick it in the USB slot and then tap this. So it reads your finger and you're in. So it doesn't get much safer than this. These things are like $25. I got it on the Google store. There's some third-party ones that are cheaper, but I just got the Google one for $25. And, these are all little things, little investments that could have saved me 2 weeks of insane amount of stress, And another thing, too, the whole process YouTube has, I have to give them some credit, because at the end of the day, they got my channel back. and not in 6 weeks like it's happened to some other creators. I was out 12 days only, which doesn't sound like a lot, but imagine taking 2 weeks off your job without pay. I mean, it matters, you know, it's something. But yeah, during that time, I had to blow up this shitstorm on Twitter. Yeah. Like every single day I was hounding YouTube. Every single day I was tagging others, asking my community to help. And it sucks because I'm not that kind of person. I hate doing that because I feel like people a lot of times do that for attention. And I can't stand doing that. But in this specific scenario, YouTube left me no choice. There's no point of contact. And yeah, I have a partner manager, but all my partner manager could do is forward me to creator support. And all they can do is forward my situation to the hijacking team that they don't have any communication with. So at its core, the whole support system, it needs a revamp. It really does. I don't buy this whole excuse that a lot of people give YouTube a pass because it's big and there's a lot of channels. To me, that's not really a valid defense because YouTube knows how big they are. Yeah. They should be ready to handle these kind of situations. And it doesn't seem like when these things happen, it seems like they're just scrambling and don't know what to do. I was one of the lucky ones for 2 reasons, because I got my channel back in only 2 weeks and because I even got my channel back. Some people never get their channel back. So I can't stress enough how important it is to make sure you're safe. Doesn't matter how many subscribers you have. Someday you'll grow and you'll be thankful that you spent like $20 to buy a USB security key or took time out to change all your passwords. You know, there's just so many things you can do to protect yourself that I wasn't doing. So that's why I say, in a way, I am kind of thankful it happened, because what if this happened when I had like 200,000 subs and I lost my channel? It'd be way worse.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm glad it happened now that I have the knowledge and I'm educated on security and I could protect myself moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, another thing I really didn't like about that situation was how the responses, it took you like a week and a half until you got someone at YouTube that really was answering your questions, really trying to work with you. I mean, you know, and
hang on a second. I think my headset turned off.
Oh, no, you're good. You hear me?
It's turning back on.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
All right. Yeah, sometimes it disconnects. I can hear you now.
We're still in the DeLorean, okay? No, but you know, the thing I really hated was how the responses was. It took a week and a half for you to get someone that legitimately was trying to work with you and help you. And the way the responses of the person from YouTube, I was like, is this person in the Middle East or the Philippines?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And of course, YouTube doesn't really come forward with how their structure is set up. But what it seemed to me, and this is just what I gathered from the way they talk and the support level I was getting, I think that the initial creator support response is someone overseas, because you saw the response they were giving me. It was like broken English, and I was like, wait, this doesn't even apply to what I'm telling you. But whenever I actually got someone real on Twitter messages from Team YouTube, which, by the way, why do I have to go on Twitter for help? That's like me having trouble with Walmart and going to Target to complain. You know, it's that's like that, like an analogy, but it's true. It's like, you know, like, why can't I'm having issues with YouTube? Why can't I just go to YouTube? Why do I have to go to another platform just to get help and then fight for 2 weeks to get it? You know, it doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense. But that's what I think. I think whatever like higher level team that they have that actually does something, I think those are the ones based in California.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that actually have something to do. Because the guy I spoke with that actually got my channel back, the guy straight up told me it's a 24-hour process. So what were they doing the other 11 days when they were telling me that my request is being worked on? What did that mean? That means it was just sitting in a pile with a million other hack channels, and they hadn't even touched it. So they weren't even being honest about it, you know? And I would have been a lot more calm had they just told me, like, you know, you're whatever spot you're in, we're going to get to you around this time frame. Yeah. There's just, all I got was, oh, there are no updates. It's like, what do you mean there's no updates? Like, what does that even mean? So it's no updates because they weren't doing anything until this actual person stepped in and actually got my channel back in 24 hours. So that's it. He's like, I escalated the request, and all they have to do is recover your Google account. That's all they have to do. So I don't know. Incredibly stressful situation. It's so important to protect yourself and also to help others and educate others because, to me, I don't see YouTube as a competitive. I don't see it as a competition. To me, I see other creators as my peers. Because we already are in an environment where we're new media. We're the enemy to all these legacy companies, legacy news outlets and whatever. So when you have all this internal fighting with YouTubers competing with each other, that's what legacy media wants. We're new media. We are the future. So that's why it's so important to help each other out. And that's why, and I'll go ahead and bring in a little bit of smoke here, but
go for it. I'm ready.
I won't say names, but mentally I've been taking names because I know that there's several people that once I started growing on YouTube will reach out to me for help, will reach out to me for whatever A, B, C, D reasons.
And have you on their podcast. Mekel, can you ask me to them?
But when I needed help and people that I don't even know, people that I didn't even know were viewers, creators that I didn't even know who knew who I am reached out to help, were tagging people and retweeting, but these other people were just quiet. And then later on, like, oh, it's a shame what happened to you. It's like, well, where were you when I needed help? So yeah, I took names mentally. Like I'll remember things like that, so it's just creators got to help each other. They really do, just when something like that happens, just seeing it and then clicking the heart doesn't really do anything. So yeah, it was a crazy situation, but it will never happen again, ever.
I thought we were about to, I was ready to stoke the fire and get the Kasanova campfire going.
Hey, you're welcome to. I'm down for it. I'm just like I told you, like I told you before. You notice whenever people are, when people are reaching out to you because you're growing.
Yeah.
There's certain people that I've reached out to in the past that I've tried talking to, didn't give me time of day at all until I passed them in subscribers. Yeah. Suddenly, the table flipped, and I mean that I'll leave it at that. It's you notice these things.
I know. I've dealt with a lot of that, over the last. This year, actually, since I finally got above 10,000 this year. And it's amazing how quickly people change and everyone wants to be your friend. And, I don't know if everyone's feeling a little chilly, but I feel like we should start a little campfire because I got some things to say. And for those of you who are watching, if you're not familiar with the Kasanova campfire, Fabian trademarked the name for me. So basically, it's our way of, or my way rather, to rant and then get demonetized by YouTube. So it is what it is. But, one of the things I've learned and I've seen as a content creator, like literally until you start making some type of way, people don't really care who you are. And other creators, it's unfortunate that it's like this, but a lot of other creators, a lot of them are out to either manipulate or use you. And it's really rare for you to find good people on this platform. Like, honestly, I've been on the platform for 3 years and I met you in person, 4 months ago, 5 months ago?
Yeah.
And we're like best friends now. Me and you and me and Josh are your player too, and some of the viewers, and I'm talking about just other content creators. Now, I've made a lot of friends that are viewers, but just speaking on content creators as a whole, two of my best friends, honestly, my only best friends on YouTube are GamerThumbTV and Your Player 2. I've had a lot of people that have tried to buddy up to me just to use me because, oh, you got this contact for this company. Oh, you're able to get, you got this person on your show. Oh, let me get on your show. Let me do this, let me do that. And it's like, no. When I was starting this, you didn't fucking care what I was trying to do.
Well,
You
people you
laughed
haven't
at
heard
it.
from for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I
Yeah.
had this one YouTuber. I'm sorry for interrupting you and
Oh,
being
no, you're
rude like
good.
that other podcaster. But I have to say this because there's this YouTuber. Fuck it, I'm dropping the name. GameZHawaii.
I have no idea who that is.
So that guy hit me up out of nowhere, and if you're watching, fuck you. He hit me up right, hit me up out of nowhere. Right before E3, saying how he wanted to work with me and he could help me get to E3 next year, but he wanted me to use my connections to help him because he said God put it on his heart that I'm supposed to be in his life to help him. This dude got over 27,000 subscribers. Chris Levy, the person whose name I said was GameZHawaii. Fuck that guy.
Doesn't make
Anyway,
any sense.
yeah. So he wanted me because he's like, I'm doing YouTube full time. I'm doing all this full time, and I just God put it on my heart that you're supposed to help me, and then he tried to pull the whole black card. Oh, since we're both black, and brothers got to help each other out, and I'm like,
I can't stand that.
I fucking hate it.
It's like you haven't talked to me in years, and you want my help because we're the same race.
Yeah.
Like what? Like I don't know you. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. With that kind of situation, and that's you've dealt with that a lot more than I have. Because you told me all the stories of people that reach out to you like the second you start growing. For me, like I'll kind of those kind of people I've dealt with, but I'm just kind of short with them. Like I'll be friendly with you, but I'll kind of keep you at arm's length because I know what you're trying to do. So I try to keep my friend circle really, really small. That's how I am in real life, though. I've had the same friends since like some of my friends, my best friends offline are childhood friends. Some of them are from high school. I've always had a small circle of friends because there's always someone out there that's going to want something out of you when you have something,
Yeah.
But one of the most surprising things to me on YouTube that I experienced that one thing you don't realize actually is better said, whenever you start becoming a creator is the amount of friends you could potentially make. Like even creators, viewers, like when the whole hacking situation happened with me, like I saw who was genuinely concerned for me and my well-being, even across viewers. I got to say, for my viewers that are watching this, like my community on my channel kicks ass. Like they came out in droves supporting me. Some people, again, that have been watching me for years that just kind of usually lurk that I don't even know. I know Rogue Dragon. I know he's in the chat that I can't really see at the moment, but that Rogue Dragon, huge shout out to him because man, he was every day on top of my channel, just messaging me on Patreon saying, "Hey, this is getting posted. That's getting posted. What do you want me to tell people?" And he was going in, and this is like he's not an employee of mine. It's just it's someone that genuinely cares, and those are the kind of good people you meet, among others too. There's other people that helped out also. But there's all kinds of people you meet on YouTube that are genuinely really good people that actually grow to care about you and your channel, viewers, other creators alike. But you, at the same time, like you were saying, you have to be careful of certain people because certain people are just looking for a quick payday on your back, So it's like real life. You just got to be careful who you associate with because I've always operated under the whole belief where you are who you are surrounded by, so you always want to keep that close circle of people that you trust, that care for you, that you care for them. And then at arm's length, kind of everyone else while still being friendly and not an asshole. So yeah,
it's people, it can be like that sometimes. And there are times like I know for me, and especially in the situation you were going through, Fabian, like I kept tabs on, I kept a tally of names of people I'm over here like, why aren't you doing something? I'm not going to name names. I've already dropped one name, but it's just one of those situations like, why aren't you doing something? Like, there are even people that surprised me that I went to try and get some help for this, and they have
I know.
like, in a sense, sorry, I'm stuttering on that, but I'm trying not to say something that
No, I
can't
know.
take back. But it's like people that you and I combined don't even have the reach that they have.
Yep.
And it just it pissed me off.
No, yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about. There's another there's one YouTube creator, and this kind of, I mean, it takes a lot for me to get upset, so I kind of don't care. But at the same time, this is kind of like, well, guy's an asshole. There's one specific creator that's got a very large following that I tagged constantly. If you go through my history, you probably know who it is. I tagged constantly when I needed the help, that covers situations like this all the time when it's a huge channel. Multiple people in my audience were tagging this person. Got nothing. The other day, another channel got hacked that had a huge following. Guy makes a video the next day.
Yep.
So, and that's what bothers me. You get these huge channels, like these huge news channels, that they will only cover a situation like that if they can collect a large amount of views from it. If it's a large channel that it happens to. And overall, I think that's just that's a big poison on the platform, Like, you don't have these big creators looking out for everyone. They're looking out for their view count. And one person I do have to give props to is Tipster, for one reason. He gets a lot of shit for being a drama news channel. I don't particularly like those channels. I don't really follow them. Mm-hmm. But I did reach out for him to help because I consider myself a friend of the channel. I used to be there watching his gaming content all the time, which he doesn't really do anymore. But I messaged that guy, and he was on vacation with his wife, and he still got back to me. And we were paragraphs messaging back and forth, and he told me that when he gets back, he's going to make a video on it. He asked me questions. Like, he was on vacation, and he still did this. Where other channels wouldn't even give me the time of day. And then he made a video on it, and he did mention it. It was after the fact, after the problem was resolved. But to me, that just shows something in a person, that others don't have in them, that others don't care to have in them.
And it's like the one person who, I set up that 3-way conversation with you and I'm like, I gave him shit for it later on, because then he's like, oh, what's the status of the situation? I'm like, why does it matter? Like,
it doesn't matter at that point.
I'm like, dude, you met Fabian. Like, we had dinner. We were all kicking it at that barcade. You got to meet him. We were all having a good time, and dude, I said, I don't ask you for a favor, and you owe me. Why couldn't you have just done that? He's like, oh, well, I wasn't feeling good. I was like, I don't believe that, because you got like 4 videos dropping every day on some drama.
Yeah.
Just cover this. So it's like, I told him, I'm like, dude, we're still friends, but I know what box to put you in.
Basically, who to go to and who not to go to in the future. If someone needs whatever. Toy Bounty Hunters that you put me in touch with, great guy. Super nice guy. He jumped at the chance to help me out. He's not even a huge channel, and he still decided to make a video on it. He made follow-up videos. He's been helping other YouTubers with the same situation too. That's what I mean. Like, if you're a YouTube creator, it's important to have a circle of YouTube friends that. And actually, I don't even like saying YouTube friends, because honestly, you're a closer friend to me than most of my actual offline friends. Because when you're on YouTube, it's a different universe. Yeah. Like, that's something people don't understand. That's something you can't understand unless you're in here. Like, my own fiance doesn't get it. How, like, I have some closer friendships with creators than I do with people I meet and see in real life. And it's just like, I don't even know what to describe it as. It's like, I hate comparing it to the military, because it's wildly different. But I think you guys will get what I mean. Like, in the military, people are in the same organization. It's almost like a little brotherhood, right? It's kind of the same idea with YouTube creators. You form these special bonds with people that are in this grind with you. It's just a completely different level of friendship than people on the outside, because this is a challenge I had when I first started. people on the outside that aren't in the YouTube thing, they don't get it. Like, they don't understand like what you're doing. They don't understand what you're doing and why you devote so much time to it, and how someone you talk to typing can become a close friend. You know, it's a different universe. But like I said, I would never give it up for anything. That's why whenever I got hacked, I posted on Twitter because a lot of people kept reaching out to me, which I appreciate. I don't want to seem ungrateful. I do appreciate that people kept reaching out to me, asking if I was doing okay mentally. But it was important for me that people didn't feel sorry for me, because when that happened, like in my mind, like I'm not a victim. When that happened to me, it was time to go to war, and I was going to get my channel back. And people were like, well, what if you don't get your channel back? Not an option. I'm getting it back. So just every day doing what I needed to do.
Weren't some people saying like make a second channel? And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, some people were like, why don't you just make a second channel? It's like, why? Like, I don't. And another thing too, which this blew my mind, and I extremely appreciated it. I had viewers coming up to me, well, not coming up to me online, but I had viewers DMing me like, if you need help with bills this month, you know, start a GoFundMe, I'll donate. You know, people were offering to pay the ransom, like, for my channel. And I was like, well, like, that's why I instantly was like, I don't want anyone's money. You know, I don't, because to me, as a creator, I think that's the worst thing someone could do. That, to me, that's taking advantage of your audience. You know, my audience, any creator's audience, the best thing you could do to support them is going the traditional route. Watch their videos, Patreon, become channel members, super chats, those things. I don't want someone's money because some criminal is holding my channel hostage, you know? But it really warmed my heart, because seeing the amount of viewers that actually care enough to offer something like that, even if I would have never taken that money, just having that being offered, you're like, wow, like, people actually care this much. Like, it just really opened my eyes to how much I'm never going to stop doing this. Like, it's that important to me. I'm at that level where this is my career until I drop dead. Like, that's it.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, second channel wouldn't solve anything. I was just reading Rogue Dragon's comment. How would a second channel even solve any? It wouldn't. It wouldn't. I would be starting from scratch for something. Why would I do that? Doesn't make any sense. But
I remember when you showed that to me, and I was like,
yep. It's funny too what I was saying. This goes back to what I was saying a couple minutes ago about how people outside of YouTube don't really understand like what it's like, because even my own fiance, I told her, like, people are offering like to pay this ransom, and they're offering to GoFundMe. And she's like, well, why don't you take it? You might need the help. And I was like, no. And she thought, like, she just wanted the family taken care of. I get it. Like, it's about bills and paying them. She's like, but people are willing to help you. Don't have that high ego. Don't try not to accept help. And I was like, but that's the thing. Like, that's what you don't get. Like, as a creator, I would feel like that's me abusing my audience. Like, you know, and that's something you can't teach. That's something like you just, as a creator, that's something you just have to learn. Like, you don't do things like that.
and you know, I guess we can touch on this too. It's like being a creator, especially when you make this your full-time job, or career, not job rather. It's a very lonely place if you don't have people that are in the foxhole with you.
Yeah.
And dude, I gotta thank you. Like, real talk. And I'm trying not to, you know, shed some thug tears here, but dude, you know, I've been dealing with some shit lately, with my own family, and it's like they don't understand it, and sometimes your partners can't understand it, and it wears on you.
Yeah, it happens. And I know you and me have had so many late night talks about this because we both have spouses, and I gotta say this, mine, I love her to death, and without her, this would not have been possible. I mean, she was pregnant when I started. It was everything logical went out the window when I started my channel. Everything logically said I should keep my job. We had a baby on the way. Another thing I didn't touch. She got fired like a month after I quit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we didn't even know that was going to happen. Long story short, she got fired because she was pregnant. It happens. Companies, all they have to do is fire you and give a different reason. That's why it happened. So, like I said, logically, all this shit was happening, and she was there by me every single step of the way. Having said that, you know as well as I do, the spouse isn't always this person that just sits next to you and supports you. Yeah. There were fights plenty of times. There were times when she was doubtful that anything was going to come of this. I need to get another job. I need to do this and that. And sure, there's still times like that. It happens. But when you decide to go full-time on YouTube, one thing you have to remember, of course, if you're not just by yourself in life, which some people are, one thing you have to remember is not just you going on this journey. You're taking the people in your life with you.
Yeah.
You know, people in your life are gonna be affected, and it's gonna cause bumps in the road. You know, there's been situations where I have this nice clean schedule on the calendar. I'm gonna do this that day, this that day. Oh, we got in a fight that day. This got pushed back a week. So things like that happen, and that's why it's so important as a creator. You have to have a balance between content creation and your personal life, because it's going to affect your personal life in some way, and it's up to you whether it's going to affect your personal life in a positive way or if it's going to be another stress factor to you and your family. So, and that's something, you know, I'm not the perfect YouTuber. That's something I struggle with weekly. That's probably something I'm always going to struggle with, but it's part of it, man. That's why whenever people decide to go full time, it's not sunshine and rainbows, man. It's harder than any job I've ever had. Aside from just creating content, it's like 3 to 4 full-time jobs wrapped in one.
Yeah.
And somehow I have to manage a family and a social life. So that's the reality of it. And I'm not trying to scare anyone away, but it's important to know the reality behind what it is. It's a really difficult undertaking. And I know you, since you've started it, you've personally, I know I told you about these things, but I know you've been experiencing a lot of that, you know, and that's, you have to. It's part of the process. It's part of the process. It makes you a lot stronger, and it teaches you. That's the most important thing. It teaches you.
And before I say what I'm about to say, Zachary Powell, shout out to you, man, for becoming a patron on my Patreon.
Oh,
you
nice.
didn't have to do that. I appreciate you doing that. You know, all the content I put out, same thing Fabian says, you know, we put out content, is free. If you want to support, you know, watching our content, sharing it, liking it, that helps. But if you want to take that step further, we greatly appreciate you folks doing that. So
one thing I do want to say about that too, touching on like Patreon and all that stuff. I've had people tell me like, oh, I want to donate more, but this is all I can afford right now. One thing to realize, this is me talking to viewers, is even if you support a creator by just giving $1 a month, like, it's still just the fact that you're doing that makes a huge difference. Because there are situations when creators, I know Mekel's been demonetized sometimes for no reason. All the damn time for no reason, but there's creators getting demonetized. There's a lot of issues on the platform, and there's reasons creators aren't making as much as they should. So, like, even if it's $1 or whatever you decide to donate, like, that's awesome. I mean, that does help out. That, and you know, it might not help pay an electric bill because it's only $1, right? But mentally, you're like, okay, I'm doing something right. My community cares about my content. It's really uplifting seeing that. So the dollar amount doesn't matter. So I just want to make that clear for anyone that, because I've had that issue several times where someone will just be like, man, I don't get paid. I can't donate. It's like, that's okay. It's okay.
You know, and the one thing, I'm glad you and we don't do this. I've seen some other, I'm going off on a tangent, and I meant to come back, and I will come back, people, to my point. But, you know, campfire just got a little warmer. You know, I'm feeling a little toasty, so I'm going to say it. I've seen creators that you can only get in their Discord. They will only play games with you online.
Oh, my God.
If you
I'm so glad you brought that up.
If you become a patron. And I'm gonna say this to you guys as viewers, if anybody makes you pay to do something that's free, like playing a video game with them, or just for them to acknowledge you, or just to be in a group chat to talk to them,
it's not a creator you want to support.
No.
Yeah, if I'm trying to say things without saying names. All right. If any creator, for example,
I can do this. I can do this.
If any creator, for example, has a Patreon, right? And you have to pay like $5 a month just to be able to play with them, something like that, it's disgusting. It really is. Like, for example, and here's one thing they're missing out on, right? Those kind of creators, they think they're missing out on $5. Yeah. What they're really missing out on is forming these really strong bonds with their community. That's what they're missing out on, and that is invaluable. You know, like, for example, when I did my Friday the 13th stream and I'm playing with people online, I like doing those streams every once in a while when I have the time. I don't charge people to fucking play with me. You know, like, it's fun. It's your community that comes to your channel, cares about you, watches your content. Why are you going to ask them for money to play a game with you? You know, at that point, you're an opportunist. That's what you are. You're an opportunist. You're just looking for money from your audience. Yeah. You know, I always keep my Patreon stuff there for people that want to donate. And that's why when you look at my Patreon, I don't have a whole list of rewards where you get fucking this beer bottle with my autograph on it for $10 a month. You know, like, nobody cares about that.
You're not going to send people like a picture of yourself and smiling, say, I'm GamerThumb.
Like, I'm not going to send you guys, like, pay me $5 a month and I'll send you my nudes and freaking lingerie photos. Like, that's ridiculous, you know? And that's why I always tell people, like, do this only if you want to, you know, because if it's any other reason, you're going to start getting people donating that just want something, you know? Man. But yeah, it's the thing. Like, see, I'm so big, and this is gonna get me on another tangent. I'm so big on.
I got a crystal. Let's incant this.
I have so many. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, Road Dragon wants to know when you're gonna sell your bathwater.
I mean, you guys want my bathwater? I'll sell it. You know what? Belle Delphine, that girl that sold her bathwater, people were giving her shit. Props on her, because she figured out how to make money on something ridiculous. Who is buying that is my question. If you're buying that, that's on you. Like, I know people buy some stupid things in the world. Bathwater, like, of course she's gonna sell her bathwater. Oh my god, that made me forget what I was going to talk about. Oh no, but now I remember. But I'm always. The most important thing on my channel, more so than views, memberships, whatever, is engagement with my audience. I've learned that is something you cannot put a price on, you know. And this takes me to all these channels that, you know, all those channels that say that live streaming kills your channel. You know,
God!
All these YouTubers were making videos like live streaming kills your channel. Here's my analytics. Well, here's the problem with that. At that point, you're only focusing on numbers. Yeah. You know, you're forgetting that those numbers represent people. Even if that were true and your channel slightly takes a dip in numbers when you're live streaming, what you're not putting a value on is that engagement with your viewers. That's one thing I've been told repeatedly from my own viewers that they like. They don't care what I'm playing for the most part. They just want to be there to engage and have fun with others. And not just with me. When you build a community, people talk to each other in the chat. That's what these channels are missing out on because they're worried that they're not going to get their $5. Analytics are overrated.
Oh, holy crap. I got another shout out to Edward with the $25 Patreon membership. Dude, thank you.
Seriously, if you guys are supporting Mekel, well worth it. I'm serious. I mean that wholeheartedly. You learn a lot from the people he talks to. And I'm not trying to be his hype bitch.
Yes, he is.
I'm being completely honest. There's very few creators I will say that about, that they're worth you investing your time and money in. Like, He's got a great podcast, ton of fun streams that keep me up way too damn late when I got to drop my kid off in school in the morning. But you're worth every penny, man. You really are. I mean that.
Man. Oh man, I feel like I interrupted you. You were saying?
No, I was done. Oh no, I finished what I was saying.
Okay, so I mean, to touch on what you're talking about the whole, streaming hurts your channel. We can dive into that. And I'll come back to what I was going to say like 3 topics ago. So, there are 3 people, 3 creators that have been streaming on YouTube, and it's done nothing but growing their channels and their brands. First one, you. Second one, Josh with his 90-day experiment. And third person, me. How has this hurt our channels? Why is this misinformation out there?
Yeah. I believe that I know there's some channels that have taken a dive when they started streaming. I don't think streaming's the cause, though. It has to be something else. Because if you think about it, like, why would it? Streaming keeps people on the website. YouTube wants people on the website for extended periods of time. So logically, why would that hurt your channel? It doesn't make any sense. And I think it's a whole, and here is where we can easily get into an hour talking about algorithm experts.
Ooh.
But you've got all these people out there that claim to be algorithm gurus. You don't know shit. You don't. Because I have a contact within YouTube that I took several algorithm classes under her, and I asked several questions, and she doesn't even know how the algorithm works because it's Skynet. It's a self-learning AI. It's constantly learning daily. One day the algorithm could like something, the next day it might not. You don't know anything about the algorithm. Anyone that pretends to is selling you snake oil.
Oh, did you see Chip says that the argument that they were making is YouTube puts you in a different category when you post videos, it gets buried somehow.
Question: how do they know that?
Exactly.
That's my thing. It's guessing. It's all guessing. Why hasn't that happened to me? Why hasn't that happened to you? Why hasn't that happened to Josh? Josh has the data to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
That he didn't experiment for 90 days, and all he did was grow on it to the point where he's thinking of doing it, just moving forward.
Yeah.
My channel didn't really start growing steadily until I started streaming. That's when I really started having an accelerated, just strategic growth. It's because I was streaming. But that's why I think that's BS. Putting all the data aside, some big YouTubers will share that, like, oh, here's the proof. It's probably something else because the algorithm likes and dislikes a combination of a million different things. Mm-hmm. It's not just one thing, so you can't be like, oh, it's the live streaming that did it. Well, what if it's 20 other things and not the live streaming? What if you just live streamed once or twice and didn't do it enough to where, the algorithm's kind of getting used to your channel and knowing where to put you? There's so many factors that when someone tells you they understand the algorithm, they don't. They think they do. I believe people believe they do. But the cold, hard facts is that people working at YouTube don't even understand the algorithm. That's word for word what I've been told by people at YouTube.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that when you're a content creator will, and you'll, people that have reached out to me.
I'm at the both of
and being like,
damn, I almost name dropped.
No, but not just one. I've had several people actually try to reach out to me, like, to take like seminars to learn the algorithm. It's like, get the hell out of here. Like, I'm not paying you for any, like, what do you mean? You don't know anything. You don't. I don't know anything. I just create my content and call it a day. That's the thing about being a YouTube creator. Once you're so obsessed and focused with the numbers, you've lost what it means to build a connection with your audience. Yeah. That's going to trump anything that the algorithm wants long term. People are looking for this rapid explosion of growth. based on numbers, and it shouldn't be rapid. If you're doing it right, you're going to grow slowly and steadily. That's how you should be doing it. Because you know what? If you grow too fast, you're going to burn down just as fast. Because that just means people are interested in like one thing you did, and then they're going to go away later, and you're going to be like, where'd all my views go? So you want to see that slow, steady, like with anything in life. It's slow, steady improvement.
Yeah. And also for the creators, you got to be consistent. So if you're a creator, there are terms that I think we need to stop using, like, oh, I'm a small creator. And the reason I'm saying we should stop using it is because of some of the people in the industry I've interviewed. They've said that when they hear that, they don't want to work with you. Oh, I'm a small creator. Yourself. Yeah. They're like, oh, okay, well, no, I'm not going to work with you. And it's like, you need to stop saying that. I think people need to start being consistent with their content. I tell my wife that all the time, especially when it comes to her channel. She's like, oh, I don't understand this. I don't understand that. You got Google. Figure it out. This is your brand. This is your baby. You need to learn how to run your channel, promote yourself. If this is what you want to do, and I'm speaking not only to my wife, but also to myself and to any content creators out there. If you want this as a career, or even as a part-time hustle or part-time gig you're doing on the side, you need to give it 100%.
Yeah.
And be consistent.
You know what it is? That saying, dress for the job you want, not for the one you have, or not for the one you're interviewing, whatever. That's true for YouTube also. If you consider yourself a small creator mentally and publicly, you're going to stay a small creator. Because it's subconscious. It's a truly subconscious thing that not everyone has in them. You have to think of where you want to be and then act like it. So many people focus on their numbers. Like, what is a small creator? I mean, think about that question. What is it? 500? Is it 10,000? Is it 20? What's a small creator? Because no matter how big you are, someone's bigger than you unless you're PewDiePie.
Yeah.
So who dictates what this range is between small and large? We're all content creators that are growing if you're doing it properly. So you think of yourself as small, you're going to stay that way. But that goes for anything in life. That's not just YouTube. Dress for the job you want. You want to be a big channel. I mean, act like a big channel. Act like you've been doing this forever. Act like you know what you're doing, even if you don't. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing when they first start.
Yeah.
You do kind of have to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning every week. I'm still learning when I'm doing YouTube, different things. You never stop learning. You never stop growing as a person and a creator. There's always someone you can learn from. Like I said, you're a smaller channel than me. I've learned a ton from you. So it's not about subscriber counts or how big or small you are. That's stupid to think like that.
Yeah. And damn, I lost my train of thought. Keep talking, man. I was so caught up and captivated in what you were saying.
I hope I didn't interrupt you. I don't think I interrupted you.
No.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm trying to find it. It's somewhere floating around. I need to catch it.
Were you rattled?
I was rattled, man. I was shaken to the core.
But it's true, because I see so many creators that, some of them in this chat, I see so many creators that are small channels that have so much talent, but don't take advantage of it. It's almost like they don't see that they have that potential, and there's this, I mean, I was even like this before I started. I always thought it was so crazy to be successful on YouTube, because I thought you had to be all these connections and everything. Like, anyone can do this. Literally anybody on the planet has the capability to do this.
Yeah.
Before I did this, I didn't work I was a freaking call center employee. I'm just some nerd with a family in his office man cave that likes to talk about video games. I'm nobody special. You don't have to be special to do YouTube, Like, you just have to be consistent, be willing to take the hits. And I know that's stereotypical advice, but there's a reason that advice exists out there in the world. It's true. You're going to get hit a million times doing YouTube. You're going to get hit a million times in life in general, but doing YouTube specifically, you got to really buckle down, take the difficult times with as much grace as you take all the successes, because there's more difficult times than ups on YouTube. That's a fact.
Yeah.
No.
It really. No, I didn't find it yet, but I'm gonna bullshit until I get there. No, and one of the things that you said I really want to piggyback on when you were talking about how sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. Like, I'll use it case in point. I was saying, and maybe this is my marketing background speaking too, but I was saying for the first couple of months when I was doing a podcast, like, oh, I'm the #1 podcast in Hawaii. I just kept saying it. Was it true at the time? No. I just kept saying it. I kept saying it until the point where I started to believe it. And when I started believing it, other people started believing it. And then it's like, I mean, look at the intros to damn near every podcast I have. I've got people in the industry, people, actors, celebrities, whoever, saying, hey, this is the #1 podcast in Hawaii. I've got analytics to prove it. But I had to believe it.
Yeah.
I had to believe, no matter what my size was as a content creator, that I had something of value to bring to people. And when you know that and you have that confidence and you share it with the world, there's nothing wrong with that. And I hate, there's so many, like you said, there's so many content creators I see in the chat right now that are incredibly talented beyond anything I know I'm capable of doing. And they have so much to offer, but they won't be able to do that because of their mind.
Yeah.
Because they're so stuck thinking I'm small. And many of you, I've had conversations with many of you this week, yesterday, past couple of weeks, and I know I can be a very brash, direct person, but my thing is, you have to risk, and I know Jordan Peterson said this, and I'm not sure how people feel about him, but he made a statement before that you have to risk being offensive to get people to think, or something along those lines. And I'm not going to pussyfoot with people and bullshit them when I can just tell them straight up, hey, that doesn't look right. Hey, maybe you should change this. Hey, maybe you should stop thinking that you're a nobody and realize that you are somebody, and what you have to say and do matters, and focus on that.
Yeah. No, everything you're saying is true. Doing YouTube, if I had to put percentages on it, realistically, it's like 30% the work and 70% your mentality.
Yeah.
It really is, because not just naturally, not everyone's gonna have what it takes. Shit, I still don't know if I'm gonna have what it takes. I don't know. I'm still working on everything. Like I said, I'm not perfect. And I'm still learning, and I'm still growing. But you know how many times? One thing I want to talk about, because I've heard several people on your podcast talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about, and it's important to have a backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't disagree more. I could not disagree more.
Did you notice my facial expression when they all said backup plan? I'm like,
oh, I know. And then you'd message me. I'm like, I have so much to say. I get the mentality. As human beings, you want to feel safe. You want to feel secure. The reality is that nothing is secure. You can have backup plans A through Z to infinity. Not one of those is going to be secure. You might believe they are. But to me, like, when I first started, and this is one part where it caused a lot of friction between me and my fiance, because she's very different than I am in terms of that way of thinking. She's all about backup plans and security. I'm all about
like my
one
wife.
thing. Exactly. I'm all about picking one thing and deciding that that's what I'm going to do. So to me, like I said before, I understand why people use backup plans, but in my mind, I think backup plans it's a distraction. It's subconsciously an out, so when things get tough, you're like, oh, well, thank goodness I have this backup plan. Let me quit this, and I've got my backup plan. No, like, for me, when I first started this, it was like, I'm going to do this or I'm going to die trying. That's it. And whenever me and my fiance ever got into it, and she always questioned me, like, what if it doesn't work out? I don't like what ifs. So she's like, what if it doesn't work out? Be real. What if it doesn't? I was like, it will, because it has to. Like, I have to make it work. So I'm going to do everything in my power to make it work. And that's it. There's no other option. I can't deal with backup plans. Like, to me, it's such a distraction from going after what you really want and staying in the safe zone. No matter what you do in life, if you're playing it safe, you're not going to get where you want to be.
Yeah.
You know, once you're safe and you get comfortable, like for example, the last job I quit before going full time, when I decided to quit, one of my friends that was working there questioned me, and he was like, aren't you worried? Like, what if this doesn't fail? At least you have this place. He doesn't have a job right now. That entire call center a couple of months ago shut down. They fired all the managers. They filed all the higher up managers, all the ground level employees. He's looking for a job right now because that whole call center shut down. And here I am making my YouTube videos. So the question is, what was more secure in that scenario? You know, that's why I'm saying, like, had I not given into what I wanted and I stayed with the secure option, I'd be jobless right now. Just like everybody in that building that had been there for 20 plus years. So, I mean, the takeaway that I want people watching this, the takeaway I want you guys to have is, if there's anything you want to do, yes, be aware of the risks, but don't let that make a decision for you. If there's something you want to do, decide you want to do it, figure out how you want to do it. If there's something you enjoy doing, figure out how to make money from it and go for it. There's really no excuse other than fear.
Yeah.
And fear is the most dangerous thing to somebody that is a creative person. Fear stops you in your tracks and keeps you in the same place. It's okay to be afraid. I'm afraid monthly. You know, some months I'm like, oh, I did pretty good this month. Let me go buy a arcade 1-up machine. There's other months where I'm like, shit, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay the bills this month. It's scary, but that's not going to keep me from doing what I want to do. You know, you can't act on fear. You have to just decide. That's the word I keep trying to push. You have to decide, because that's what life is about. Decisions. Yeah. You are where you are because you have decided to be where you are. That goes for everybody. But that's my preaching right there.
I like what Edward Bishop just said. He said fear is false evidence appearing real. I agree.
Yeah. And that's one thing I've debated with my fiance before too. Like when we've talked about things. Fear it's imaginary. Because I mean, think about that. Fear is a real emotion. We all feel it. But it really is imaginary at the same time, because fear is when you're worried about things that haven't happened. So what are you afraid of? You know, you don't know what's going to happen. It's the enemy of creativity. Fear destroys creativity. Yeah. And I see so many people, so many close personal friends of mine that want to do something more with their lives and won't, because they're scared to take that step, that uncomfortable step that you have to push yourself to succeed. Life is scary. It's supposed to be. This content creation specifically, like whenever you remember when the monetization changed to you had to have like 400 watch hours, something like
400 watch hours, 1,000 subs.
I like that. I like that they did that, because in my opinion, it weeded out the people that just aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
You know, because at that level, let me tell you something, you're making like 25 cents a month anyways. Like if you're at that level. So what does it matter? You know, it's all about how you react to it. And it weeded them out. So I like that they did that, because this should not be easy. Nothing worthwhile should be easy. It should be a really hard, difficult climb up. And it is, because that's how life is. That's how most good jobs are. That's how YouTube content creation is. It's hard, and it should be. And the people that make it to the top are the ones that are just going to persevere. But like I said, I don't even know if I'm going to be one of those. I might not be one day, but I'm sure as hell going to try every single day.
You know, if you think about it too, this whole conditioning that we have where we think that we just need to have a job and there's security in it. I mean, if you think about it, it's only within the last 100 or so years that jobs have been set the way that they are. Before that, people had trades, they had specialties, they were entrepreneurs, they had to do something, you know. And it's the thing now is you look at it, and it's crazy how people are so terrified of change, of actually not even change, but the fact that they have to actively make a choice to do something and not be told what to do. And that's one of the things, like I'll share this. I argue with my wife about that all the time. I'm like, hey, I don't want to have to tell you need to do this, or you should do this, or you should look into this. I want you to know. Like last night, I had to do a review of these headphones, and I told her, like, look, I need you to do a panoramic, and I need to give you the camera, do a panoramic, and go. And then she's like, well, do you want it to be like this? Do you want me to? I'm like, I don't fucking. And I said this. I said, I love you. No disrespect. Don't take this personally.
I know
you
what
will.
You're gonna say.
But I don't fucking care what you do. Just record the goddamn footage. I don't need to tell you because I need you to. I need to know. I said because if you're going to go into this full time, because that's her goal too, is to be a full time content creator.
Gotta make decisions.
You literally, you got to be confident in it. And I tell her, I'm like, what do you think I do with my videos? You think I write a script or anything like that? I used to, and then I realized that I can just hit record and talk, and then just figure it out from there. I'm like, all I need you to do is record it. If it's good, I'll use it. If it's not, I won't. I said, I don't need to tell you what to do. And I think so many of us are so conditioned, to seek approval. And I think that's probably what it is seeking approval, you know, especially like, now I get to 5 topics back. I finally get to round about what I was going to say.
We've come full circle.
Yeah, we come full circle. So like the challenge and the loneliness of being a full-time content creator. I mean, you and I, we talk about it daily. I know Harris Heller has made a video about it, about how lonely it is and how families and people who don't do it, they don't understand it. And I know for me, the last couple of weeks, like I was stressed, like, God, can I make the rent? And I remember talking to you about that. Like, dude, I'm freaking out about it, or my wife, because my wife did. She's like, you got 3 months to make this happen. You got 3 months to make, such and such, or if you don't, you need to go back to doing a real-time job. And I'm of the mindset, look, no, I decided to do this. I made the decision because it was either I was going to stay at that job and get fired, or, leave of my own volition and do something that I want to do, something that I'm building upon. And I'm like you, if I decide to do something, I'm going balls to the walls. Hell, high water, I don't care what's coming. I want to do this. And if I'm going to do it, you're not going to stop me.
Yeah.
And it's like when I think about how I got into YouTube, and this actually goes back to my job at Hawaii Pacific Health, because when I was working at the help desk, there was this one guy who kept, and his name was Eric Ching, and yes, I put that motherfucker's name out there because I
think you told me about this guy.
Yeah, he always kept saying like how I would never make it. I'm just stupid. If I wanted to do YouTube, I should have did it with the reaction videos years ago, and I'd never make it. I'd never do anything relevant. Boom.
Yep. Prove those people wrong.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's a huge motivator.
It is.
Those kind of people don't understand that when you say that to someone that's a creative, determined person, all you're doing is fueling them. Like you're fueling. Like I loved it when I first started, and people were like, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, "Got to prove this person wrong. Got to go down the list and prove this person wrong." But more importantly, it's about proving it to yourself. I think more than some dude at your job that doesn't understand anything but 9 to 5. It's more about proving it to yourself and your audience that you're worth watching. But like I told you many times, I think you do a great job with that. You really do. You do a great job getting your videos or doing quality content. Like you don't just slap some shit together. And every interview you have, I watch. For example, sometimes you'll do like someone that I've never heard of, company I don't care about, but it's an engaging interview, and I always learn something because you ask them good questions and there's a good back and forth conversation. And that's the most important thing about a good podcast is having a conversation versus just like TV interviews where they have actors and they just ask them questions. You have to have a good conversation. I think that's to me, that's one reason I think you're going to make it, because you're a good conversational person. I mean, we hung out for viewers that don't know this, me and Mekel hung out at a bowling alley well, actually, let me go back. I love bringing up the story because at E3, I learned from a random person in the Ghost Recon line that they have YouTuber parties, like E3 parties. And I was like, what? Like, there's a website and everything. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. I told my fiance, I was like, you want to go check it out? She's like, yeah, why not? So we go. I invite Chad was there, Tesla Chad. I invited Mekel, and we had already been at that bar for like 30 minutes. It sucked ass. Yeah. Like, it was some like rundown bar after Skid Row where all the homeless people are.
Yo.
Overpriced. Like, we were looking at the drink specials. Nothing looked appealing. They were like $16 for like a small like rum and garbage. And I was like, when Mekel got there, I was like, you guys want to go somewhere else? This place sucks ass. And he was like, wait, what? And I was like, we need to get the hell out of here. This place sucks. So we ended up going to a bowling alley, like 5 seconds from where I was staying in downtown. But no, we hung out for like 2 or 3 hours, just talking about everything. It's like we were best friends forever, man. Like we talked about all this stuff. And I remember at the time you were having all these doubts about doing YouTube and you were stressed with your job, and it's a completely different you from who you are now. Yeah. Like I see a huge change in you, where back then you were this very doubtful, I don't mean this in a bad way, but kind of fearful.
You can shoot straight, man.
Well, no, but I mean that, like, and it's understandable. You were terrified, as you should be. But then now you're a very confident, driven person because you decided to take that step. You decided. I go back to my word, decided. But that was a ton of fun, though. I can't wait till do that again next year. Like, we were in the bowling alley for a good couple hours.
Dude,
just had a couple beers and just talked.
That breakfast we had with Nick,
that was mind blowing. Although I went the next day with my fiance and I was pissed off because I was like, this place is so good. Like, she got pancakes with whipped cream and strawberries because they asked, like, you want whipped cream and strawberries? Sure. Mm-hmm. Those motherfuckers charged for the whipped cream separately. They charged for the strawberries separately. I was like, you charge for toppings? Like, am I getting charged for the ketchup for my fries? Like, but that place was delicious. That place was delicious. For those that don't know, yes, we had breakfast with Nick, the voice of Leon S. Kennedy in Resident Evil 2 Remake. That was awesome.
I remember texting you. I was like, hey, you want to meet you want to meet Leon from RE2? And you were like,
no, you didn't text me.
Did I?
No, we were walking around, and I don't know if Lehua or my fiance needed something. We were in a store, and you're like, what are you doing tomorrow morning? And
oh, yeah.
And I was like, well, it's funny because me and my fiance had plans for the whole day. So that's why I asked you. I was like, why? You're like, you want to meet Leon? And I looked at her. I was like, hey, you're going to sleep in tomorrow. I'm going to take an Uber, and I'm going to go meet Mekel. So, yeah, then I went over there. Man, Nick, let me tell you about Nick. Every time he talked, I saw Leon.
Right.
But the guy looks like he could play Chris Redfield in a live action movie.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like Chris Redfield, like a live action Chris Redfield, more so than the actual Chris Redfield we got in the movie. But that was an awesome experience. Though. It really was. Dude, he's a super nice guy.
He's super cool, man. I was like tripping out because that was the first time I met him too.
Yeah.
It's like
was he blasting Battletoads music?
Dude, he was blasting because when we left and he took us to like Muscle Beach, he was blasting Battletoads music. He was blasting Castlevania 3. He was playing beginning, not the remastered or the remakes. He played the original Famicom beginning theme from Castlevania 3, and then he was playing what else did he play? He's playing Batman NES.
Oh, the Sunsoft one.
The Sunsoft. And he was
badass soundtrack.
And it's like Lehua was looking at him. She's like, "What are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm a gamer." She's like, "You don't look like one." He's like,
"What does a gamer look like, though?" What does a gamer look like? But no, that's one thing I really liked about him. Like you hear a lot of like, for example, like actors that'll play like, I don't know, Daredevil in a movie, like Ben Affleck. They'll be like, I've been a Daredevil fan since I was a kid. Bitch, no, you weren't. You're lying. But like you could tell, like this guy, like Nick, he was genuine. Like he was an absolute gamer. And I was like, man, this is cool. I was nerding out with him in the car talking about Resident Evil. And I was like, I had just done the Resident Evil timeline. I was like, man, this is great. Yeah, it was awesome though. E3 next year is going to kick ass. PS5 and Xbox Scarlet are going to be there too.
Yeah.
I
So
assume.
next year. Okay, so for people who don't know, this is my experience going to E3. And you know, actually, before I go on that, let's talk about E3. So for content creators who are watching this right now, watching this interview, or who are listening to it, or who may watch it eventually, Baby and I want to put something in perspective for you guys. Watching E3 on YouTube and being at E3, worlds apart.
Yeah.
Entirely different experience.
Yeah, there's no comparison. Like that's why I get so pissed off when I see Review Tech USA. I'll name drop him because I watch his channel and I usually watch his content. But he criticized every single year. He repeats the same video. Like E3's on their way out. This might be their last E3. It's irrelevant. Being there, I spent years just watching. There's no comparison. There really isn't. Actually, like seeing a trailer for a game coming out 500 years from now, and then being there in this environment, not even just playing the games, but just being around other people, like a ton of other people that love the same things you do as much as you do. There's no comparison to that. And even just testing these games out early, talking with developers. I know you know a lot about that, forming connections with people in the industry. If you're a creator, do your best to go to E3. You're only doing yourself a service. You're doing yourself a disservice by sitting on your computer and saying it's irrelevant when you've never been there.
Yeah.
I remember walking into the Xbox building, and it's the same building where they always do the conferences. The scale when you walk in, it's mind-blowing. You know, right when I walked in, there was a giant Gears of War 5 setup on the right side. Behind the wall, they had all the... There's a huge back section that you don't see, which is where everyone comes out of. They had everything set up. People were playing Doom Eternal. I played the new Battletoads. There was so much cool stuff there. And this is all stuff that, you know, NotAnother GameCollector was there too. He can vouch for this in the chat. But these are things you don't experience with people that are like you whenever you're sitting at home watching it on TV or on YouTube or whatever. E3 is not irrelevant. Maybe it'll go away at some point. Who knows the future? But it's sure as hell not going away anytime soon. Maybe they'll stop broadcasting it one day. I don't know. But just the event itself, there's so many people that go. And there's so much good that you get out of being there that it's just, if you say it's irrelevant, you've never been. Because if you've been there, you're not going to think that. There's just no way you're going to think it.
Yeah. And, you know, and to touch on that too, like, I remember, because we've had this discussion many times, the YouTuber Sphere Hunter, she's close friends with my friend Ruben Langdon, Dante, and Ken. So I saw her video, and that was her first time going to E3. And her recap video was saying that it's not worth going. It shouldn't be open to the public. And I watched it, and I've even talked to her about that. And I told her, I said, you know, it really comes off that, you know, I said, I'm not trying to take shots at you, but it comes off like you're ungrateful because you were flown there by, what's the company? CD Projekt Red. They flew you there. They took care of everything, flight, hotel, all that. You were fully taken care of. And you got to be at the Microsoft thing with Keanu Reeves. A lot of us didn't get to do that.
Yeah, that's not for regular people. You know, that's a whole nother level of E3.
I'm just saying, if you're a YouTuber who's put up like 19 videos and you've got over 100,000 subscribers, and you're talking about something that normal people can't, don't normally get to go to, being irrelevant and not worth it. Check. I don't normally say this, but I had to straight say it. I was like, bitch, check your privilege. Small kind.
My whole thing about that, like, yeah, everyone's gonna have their opinion, but why didn't she think it was worth it? That's my question, because like I can't imagine going to the conferences and then the actual event and the show floor and coming off thinking that wasn't worth it. Like maybe she didn't play her cards right, because there's a strategy to it. It's my second year this year, so I did a lot better than I did last year in terms of what I wanted to see. I saw everything except for Link's Awakening. I saw everything I wanted to see. I played everything I wanted to play. I got all the collectibles I wanted to get because I knew where to go. I knew what to come back to later. There's a strategy to what you do and when you do it, when you're there, that you learn just by being there and knowing where everything is on the show floor. So since you're saying it was her first year being there, maybe that's why. Maybe she didn't strategize on like what to see or didn't get to see certain things, because some of the lines are really long.
She was unimpressed with the whole thing. That was her thing. She was unimpressed, and she felt like regular people shouldn't have been able to be there with people with press badges and industry stuff.
I gotta completely disagree.
I do too, and I told her the perception of that. If I'm just hearing this from you, like as being someone who was there, and I got to go there because of Vitrix, the company that I'm wearing the headphones of the company that sent me there.
Yeah.
For me, it was amazing to be there. I've always wanted to go to E3, and as a fan of the gaming industry as a whole, that was awesome. There's nothing like it. And to say that, it's not worth going to, it's not worth spending $200 to go there. And it's like, I don't know. I'm trying not to rant because I know I'm gonna have her on my show soon, but I'm just it rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean it's true though. Like I said, I mean she's gonna have her own opinion, and there's plenty of people that share her opinion, but doesn't mean I have to agree. I thought it was amazing, amazing experience that as long as it's going on and I have the ability to go, I plan on going.
Do you remember that Uber driver that tried to kidnap Lehu and I?
No, I think you told me about that.
No,
I wasn't there.
Ilani was there. You weren't there. But dude pulled up in this busted ass white car with broken windows, saying like, no, he rolled down one window. He was like, "Hey, you call for Uber?" And like he was started walking. I'm like, what's that mean, baby girl? What you doing? What is you doing? Stop walking towards.
That's not him.
That's not. You don't call for an Uber.
Oh my god! Oh, by the way, that change that Los Angeles International Airport LAX made with the Uber, that's going to be a disaster next year if they don't change it. For those that don't know, the major airports have this. Orlando has it too. There's a specific section outside that's a whole section for like Lyft and Uber. There's signs for it. So if you got off your plane and you have Uber, that's where they pick you up. They moved all of that like off the grounds of the front entrance of the airport, and it's all just somewhere out on the side now. And there's articles now that it's causing all kinds of traffic jams and everything. Stupid idea. Yeah, they better change that by next year, because the way they had it set up was fine. You go there, you call your driver, and you just wait on the curb, and they get you right there at the front.
And also, if you go to E3, make sure you get an Airbnb.
Oh yeah.
Bye.
Woo! Yeah, I learned my lesson last year because I stayed at an Airbnb outside of LA because it looked close on a map. Mm-hmm. What you don't realize is that if something is here and then downtown LA is right here, you're going to get stuck in an hour of traffic in the morning.
Yep. Like
just going into town. That's something I didn't know. So every time we had to go into downtown, which is where everything is in LA, we had to take an Uber and spend a ton of money. So this year I stayed at an Airbnb 5 minutes walk from the convention center, and it was way cheaper than any of the hotels in the area. But tell your story where you stayed.
Oh god.
When you told me, when you told me where you were staying, I looked at my fiance and I was like, oh, you know where Mekel's staying? And when I told her, she was like, is he crazy? And I was like, but go ahead. Actually, do you mind if I run to the bathroom real quick?
Go for it. I'll go ahead and I'll tell the audience. So, audience, hi. I stayed at a hotel. I think it was the Sheridan Hotel by LAX, and yeah. So, so it shouldn't have been more than 15 minutes from the airport and from the hotel to the Los Angeles Convention Center. Unfortunately, that trip took about an hour, maybe an hour and 30 to an hour and 30 from. So yeah, I had the option of getting an Airbnb, but because I'd never done one in California, I wasn't too sure. And I thought that, oh, if I get the Airbnb, what if it's in a sketchy area? So it's like, no, I just get the hotel. And oh god, not to mention the whole thing with the hotel, we couldn't check in till 3. So like the whole first day of E3, like we got
put your stuff.
No, like we were able to. Well, they let us stow our stuff at the hotel, but we couldn't check into the room. Then we went to go get our badges, and then that's when we met up with you and Josh and Adrian and others, and we were just like, okay, so now we're gonna go back to the hotel. We're gonna check in. They're gonna change and come back. Then we go there, and then we went back to the hotel. I think we parted at like 12-ish. Yeah, and so we parted at 12-ish, and then when we got back, when we got to the hotel, we had to wait an additional 3.5 hours to check in. And then when it was time for us to check in, we also had to wait in a super long line because everybody was trying to check in. So then we catch, my wife and I, we catch the Uber back to the convention center, which that was an hour and a half. And then by the time we get there, and then we're trying to go in, and then they stop her because she left her badge at the hotel. So she took an Uber, and that got her back to the hotel an hour later, and then she took an Uber back.
Meanwhile, for me to interject real quick, during all this, I was inside playing demos of games.
Yeah. Yeah. Whole first day.
Yep.
Fucked.
I remember when we met up later in the day, and I was like, man, look at all the stuff I got. I played this and that, and I was like, what'd you do? And you're like, I didn't do anything. And I was like, what do you mean? Well, see, God. So here's the other thing that you didn't touch on. Transportation cost.
Oh God.
On Airbnb. I'm not gonna ask you because I'm not gonna get into finances, but I know
you can ask.
Well, no, but I know for a fact you spend a ton of money driving back and forth.
My credit score hasn't recovered.
Let me tell you, when I stayed in downtown, whenever we went to go eat out, go to a movie, most of the time we either walked or we took the little scooters, which I'll talk about. We took the little scooters for like $1 and just drove them wherever we wanted to on the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. The one day that I took that Uber to go where you were, when I drove back, that was like $50 total for that one trip. It was like $25 to get to you and $25 to get back. So yeah, you cannot stay when you're staying primarily in downtown LA. You cannot stay by the airport. Like the transportation cost is gonna get you. Even if it's a little more expensive to stay downtown in some areas, you're gonna save way more money because of the transportation costs. But that's something like you've experienced. That's just something you have to learn when you go to LA if you've never been there. That was me last year.
And don't stick out.
Oh yeah, you were telling me what you almost got robbed.
Oh my God.
At the beach. I think you told me about that.
Dude, so there's another story. Story time, children. So we went to Lehua and I went to Muscle Beach because she wanted to walk around there, which is I think that's where Nick, he dropped us off at. And we were walking, and then these dudes, sketchy looking dudes, pop up, and then
He dropped you off in gang territory.
God, I mean, I was so mad at my wife the whole time because so these rappers, they had a CD and they stuck it out, and Lehua just grabbed it, and I turned, and then they're like, oh, I signed it. Oh, you gonna give me money? And she's like, no. And I turned around and I was like, oh, God damn it. I was like, okay. So I walked over, took the CD out of her hand, gave it back to the dude, and I said, just walk. Just quit, keep walking, don't turn around, hold your bag. Because like when that whole thing happened, you had one dude pop out in front of us, two people from out of nowhere behind us. And here's the thing about my wife. I love my wife, but when it comes to being aware, spatial awareness is not her strong suit, because she does not pay attention to things around her, and she is very gullible and naive. And that's not a knock. Some people just don't have ulterior motives.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a lot of people that do.
Yep.
And they look for people who don't have ulterior motives. And so I told her, like, you got to start paying attention to your surroundings. You can't, we're not in Hawaii.
Yeah. It's funny because you're getting to know you and your wife. She's a lot like mine. Like a lot alike. And something similar happened to us. I'm so pissed off. All right, I'll say this. I'm the type of person that when I go to Walmart and I see the DirecTV people trying to sell me shit, like, sir, what cable service do you have? I'm like, I look forward and I just keep walking. I'm like, nope, not interested. Like, oh, okay. She's the one that feels bad and will sit there having no intentions of buying your product. She's the one that'll sit there and listen to your spiel and be like, oh, no, thank you. You know, so this goes back to what I'm going to say, because like your beach story, something like that happened to us in the Bahamas. A couple of years back, we went on a cruise to the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something. If you ever go to the Bahamas, there are swindlers everywhere. Everywhere you go. So we're on the beach and there's this kid going around like the Pied Pipers, like with flute. He legit had a flute that he was just going around trying to sell. He had a little bag of flutes that he got at like the dollar store, and he was trying to sell it $5 a piece. So he goes up to us and he's like, oh, you guys want to buy flute? And I was like, no, I'm not interested. So of course mine starts feeling bad. So she's like, oh, let me ask him how much they are. I was like, no, do not. And of course he got a whiff of it. So he comes up to his little bag of flutes and she wants to buy one. And then she gives him like $5. I was like, I cannot believe. I was like, you cannot do that. Look around you. So suddenly, right after that, some other guy comes up, tries to sell us something. So we said no right away. And he was like, oh, but I saw you give him money. So it started turning into the thing and they start like surrounding us. And I was like, do you see what you did? Like, you can't do those kind of things. That's what happens. And, and another thing he was trying to say, he's like, oh, it's for the schools, for the children. Like, it's insane, man. Like, but you got to be aware of your surroundings, like you said, because people will try to swindle you anywhere you go, especially, like you said, if you stick out. Clearly, we didn't look like we were from the Bahamas. We were tourists on a beach. So, Bahamas is crazy, man. Some other lady, this is hilarious. Some other lady walked up to me in the marketplace and she goes, I thought she was trying to choke me. She goes over my head and puts a necklace on me. And I was like, I got like thrown back and I was like, what the hell? And it was a Superman necklace. She's like, here for you, free. And I was like, oh, it's free. Okay. And I start walking away. She's like, no, it's $5. And I was like, okay, I don't have $5. She's like, oh, well, it's not free. And then she took it off and walked away. And I was so confused. I'm like, what the hell just happened to me? But, you know, that's what LA is like when you go to the beach too.
Yeah.
Another thing, I had to write it down so I wouldn't forget. But another thing, like, let me tell you something about LA. If you go to LA and you like spicy food, be fucking careful, because I have such a bad memory based on your experience, because when you were telling me what happened to you on the beach, this story was happening simultaneously to me. So we go to Grand Central Market. If you don't know what Grand Central Market is, it's just think of a small place downtown where there's a bunch different food from different cultures all in one place.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a cool downtown food court. So we go to the Mexican place because everyone and their mother's like, LA, you got to get Mexican tacos. They're delicious, and I like tacos. So I asked them for hot sauce. It was like this bright neon orange sauce. So I was like, yeah, just put a little bit. This guy slaps like a handful on the taco. And I was like, all right, the more the better. Let's go. I almost died. No, let me explain to you. Like, I like hot food. It's funny.
Baby is like, you don't even understand right now.
No. There's no, just think of the hottest hellfire you could think of. And that's what I had in my mouth. Like, all right, so my fiance sitting in front of me. I love her, but she likes to talk a lot. So I'm sitting there eating the taco and instantly regretted it. I took a huge bite. My eyes started watering. It got to the point where when I breathed, the air coming out of my tongue, or the air coming out of my mouth when it touched my tongue, it just set everything aflame. So I was sitting there like, oh my God, I can't. And she's talking to me. I was like, stop. I can't talk right now. And she was like, do you need me to go get you a milkshake? And I was like, yeah, please go. Just go. And then I had you texting me what just happened to you at the beach. So I'm sitting there trying to type to you, and everything is just like, you don't Call of Duty when you have those scenes where there's like an explosion next to you and everything, like all the sound starts going away and they're like, we've got you. And they're like picking you up. That was me at that point. I didn't know what was going on around me. I was so shell shocked from that hot sauce. So keep in mind, if you go to LA and you like hot sauce, be careful. But that was happening simultaneously as you were getting mugged on the beach. So every time you tell me about that story about what happened to you on the beach, I think of that taco. And it drives me insane. And I never want to eat it again. But yeah, anyways, end of that story. My fiance got me a milkshake and it helped heal it. But then she started trying to like demasculate me against her. She's like, I can't believe like I could eat that, but she wouldn't eat it. And I was like, leave me alone. I don't care, man. That shit was hot. So she was just sitting there trolling me. Oh God. After that, I wanted to go back to the Airbnb. I was like, I can't. Like, I'm wounded. Oh my God. Yep. No, whenever you were telling me that story, and in my mind, I was just like, I don't give a fuck right now. This taco's killing me. Like I was sitting there trying to text you, and I'm like in survival mode and panicking.
Oh God.
It was crazy, man. It was a good time though. Hey, Toy Bounty Hunters is in chat.
Yo, what's up, Toy Bounty Hunters? Shout out to everyone in the chat. How's everyone doing tonight? Hopefully y'all are enjoying the show. We got more stuff to talk about. I mean, if Fabian's got the time, I got the energy to keep talking too.
Yeah, man.
And so what would you say were some of the highlights of going to E3 for you? And what are the low points aside from the whatever, you know, voodoo witchcraft?
Yeah, the hellfire. Freaking Ghost Rider pepper. No, the low points definitely the lines. The lines, that's never going to change. There's so many people and there's only so little room. There's a ton of space, don't get me wrong, but there are so many actually, let me take a step back. The thing one of the things I disliked the most was the fact that Sony skipped out on it. Yeah. Because to me, going the year before, Sony was such a huge presence there. They had like half the building on the right side. They had like half that building just to themselves. And there was so much Sony stuff there. And this year they skipped out and it really looked bad on their part. And that's not something you would really notice watching it. You had to be there. Microsoft, when you go into the Microsoft building, like they were just standing loud and proud with all their stuff. And I was like, Sony, you didn't really have a reason not to be here. Like just them not being there to me really took them down a couple notches. Like as a fan, it's like, why weren't you? You know, they had stuff to show. Yeah. But Microsoft to me stole the show because of that. They had such a strong, confident presence being there that they just went all out with the stuff they were showing. But as far as what I liked the most, honestly, what I liked the most was hanging out with other creators. Like you guys, you, Josh, Adrian, and more. I mean, you're people that I've been talking to forever online, and we never met face to face. So actually going there, you guys became part of the experience, you know? I mean, we were hanging out every day, like all of us. We were all hanging out every day. Like we were scooting around downtown in these little scooters, and then we went to some shirt store that was selling Street Fighter shirts. So of course I blew some money there.
You know, which I'm wearing right now.
Yep. I should have worn my no, I got Bison.
Yeah, Bison
on. But I mean, those kind of experiences is something you can't measure being home watching E3, you know? That all becomes part of the experience when you go. So, I mean, that was my favorite part. Just hanging out with you guys daily. What movie did we see? Oh, I saw Dark Phoenix, and we saw Shaft.
Oh, we saw Shaft. Dude, that was hilarious.
It's your duty to please that booty. Yeah, we went to the movies. Which movies there are hella expensive, by the way. I don't know why.
Oh, God.
They were more expensive than here. But yeah, that was the best thing. I mean, what was your favorite thing, you would say? Even though, like, you had some troubles.
Oh, God. I would say, like, the most fun thing for me, like, the high point was definitely getting to meet all you guys finally, like, literally after talking for months on end. You know, that was definitely the high point for me. And just the experience of being around... Should I say this? Because I'm not throwing shade. I ain't trying to get smoked. But I'll put it this way. Being around other people that are of the same type of mindset in the sense of this, you know, they're content creators. They want to, you know, be on this journey, experience this thing that a lot of people don't get to experience. Versus being where I am out here in Hawaii, where there's no one around me that understands what I do, you know? And it's just being in a different environment. It literally is a different world. And, you know, being able to hang out with you, Josh, Adrian, Chad, Ilani, and there was someone else, but I can't think of their name. Inside joke.
I know.
But, you know, just being able to hang out with you guys and getting to just, you know, it felt like, you know, being a kid again. You know, we were just, oh, what's over here? Let's go over there. Let's walk. You know, let's catch the scooter. Let's just scoot down the street. You know, just, you know, meeting the people in the industry. You know, meeting and getting to try out the different games. And no, you know, the low part is standing in line for that fucking Avengers game.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And not getting to play Final Fantasy.
You know, one of the best things that came out. I played Final Fantasy.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Let me tell you one of the best things that happened to us at E3. We walk in and it's near. I think it was day one or two, one of those. But we were passing by the Final Fantasy area, and the girl working the booth, she was like, "Hey, you guys want to play?" And we we're like, "Yes." So she gave us a little ticket to go in and play it, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, this had a huge line earlier. Apparently, we were the last group of the day, and they were selecting just random groups to go play it. So we're playing the Final Fantasy demo, and then at the end of the demo, they whip out these shirts. One of the ugliest shirts I've ever seen. But mind you, it was just like some cheap, like, printed picture of Sephiroth, and it said like "The Legend Begins" or something on the front in this ugly ass font. I was like, I don't even want this ugly ass shirt, but it was an awesome game, so I took it. And then my fiance took one. I didn't want the shirt, and I was like, what the hell do I do with this? So I was like, I'm just gonna throw it up on eBay. People bought the shirt for $100. $100. Both shirt, $200 off this ugly shirt. And I didn't try to scam them. I showed the pictures. I mean, clearly it's ugly, but people wanted it. So I was like, oh my God, like, people bid all the way up to $100. But had I not played the demo, I wouldn't have gotten that shirt. But there were a lot of awesome shirts there. Like, that's one thing about E3 you don't see also if you're watching it from home. There's so much stuff they give you. Like, I have a lanyard over here full of pins. This shirt I got, I don't know if you guys can see very well, but it's a Sega shirt, and it's got all the different Sega consoles on it. We got that for playing Sonic, Olympic, whatever. Like, I don't care about the game that much, but
remember the dragon?
The drag. Oh, the big Monster Hunter dragon? Yeah, there was a huge Monster Hunter dragon that everybody was taking photos with. Oh, you know what other game I didn't get to play? Kakarot. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. That line kept getting cut off every day. That's one thing. If you don't, you're not going to be able to play everything you want to play at E3. There's no way, because some lines get so packed that they'll cut them off halfway through the day and be like, nope, you got to come back at this time. There's no more spots. Doom Eternal, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and Link's Awakening. Those were the 3 games that every single day I tried to go play, and I just could not get into play it. I couldn't get into play it.
I would say definitely like advice I would probably give to the audience if they're going to go to E3, because there are so many different areas in it and it's so huge. Make sure you pack some comfortable shoes to walk around in.
Oh yeah.
Have some snacks because the concession stuff it's stupidly expensive. Just I would probably pick a day for each area. You know, you got 3 days, 1 day for each one, but try to prioritize whatever it is. Like if there's a big game coming out and you want to try it, try and get in that line. And now that I know that for us as content creators, we can schedule, you know, I think for us, we're definitely going to take advantage of that coming next year, because if we can make an appointment and just go and skip all the lines, I'm definitely going to do that.
Hopefully, man. We need an industry pass for that, right?
Yes, we do. And I think we're going to get that with media.
I hope so. I
really hope so.
But yeah, we spent like the Xbox area. We spent a whole day. Which, by the way, this is where I got this was exclusive over there. I love this. It was like $20. They got a little Rash plush, like for playing Battletoads. We got some 3D Battletoads glasses. Like, how are these not badass? These are cool. And also, if there's like little like white points of light, you see the Battletoads logo.
Oh,
but
wow.
I mean, you just get all kinds of free stuff like this. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like I said, you're missing out if you don't go. Put this back.
So Austin Hudson had a question for us. He said, Mekel, GamerThumb, speaking of E3, when the PlayStation 5 gets revealed next year, are you guys hoping that it will be backwards compatible for all PlayStation games? I personally am hoping so.
I'm hoping it is, but if it's not, that's not going to prevent me from buying it.
Yeah.
But I really feel it should be, because I don't know if you saw this interview. I forgot who it was with. One of the higher ups at Sony said that they can't promise full compatibility yet, but it's something they're working on solving. One thing people got to realize too, when it comes to game development, it's not just like pressing a magic button and they could get it to work. Like and it goes with emulation. You're tricking a console to think it's a different console. And it's going to get harder and harder as more generations go, unless you resort to reselling these games digitally, you know? So yeah, I hope it is. I hope it is backwards compatible just to save some space on my shelf, even just so I can like get rid of my PS4 and just replace it with a PS5, you know?
It's hard to believe that we're already at the end of the PS4 and Xbox One life cycle. Like, it literally, when I think back on it, I'm like, damn, 2013 does not feel like it was that long ago when it started. But I mean, I'm excited for it. You know, backwards compatibility, as much as I love it, and I know it's a great feature, the interesting thing is a lot of people, the general public, doesn't really care about that. You know, and I think the biggest showcase of that has been with Xbox, and how people don't really care about backwards compatibility with that console. And I think in general, the people that just don't like Xbox as a whole, I don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the Scarlet and what the PlayStation 5 can do. And honestly, I don't know how much more of a graphical leap we can take. Performance-wise, I think performance is really the next echelon that we're going to go with these new consoles.
Well, one thing to touch on what you said, as far as a graphical leap, according to Sony, it's the biggest one ever. That could be marketing fluff. But
like the
also think about
engine.
Yeah. But think about this. We say that every game generation. Every generation we say, like, it can't get much better. I remember saying that playing Ocarina of Time on N64. Like, can't get much better than this. And now go back. So, I mean, I think now it's going to be more about lighting and how many things are on screen at once. I think it's going to be more about the power of the console over just graphics.
Yeah.
I at least if they play their cards right, I think that's where it should be.
Man, well, how much longer do we have to wait? 8 months, 7 months?
We're November, right? December, January. I can't count for shit. 7 months. Damn, already. I got to start saving some money.
For real.
The thing people don't realize about E3 is like, yeah, you could buy a plane ticket and a ticket for E3, but remember you got to eat when you're there multiple times a day at very expensive places, no matter where you go. So yeah, that's one thing you got to really budget for.
All right, Chad.
Q&A time.
Yeah, Chad. If you got any questions, go ahead and throw them out there, and we'll start answering them. Almost nothing is off topic here. Well,
see one from Rogue Dragon actually. Fabian can't get specific. How much of a financial hit was the hacking? I don't mind answering that. As far as me knowing, as far as me saying specifics, it's hard because I don't know what I would have made in those 2 weeks. But it definitely, I mean, just picture your job and someone takes a paycheck away for that month. Like that's how to describe it, you know. I want to stress, luckily, I'm okay though, because I mean, you know, you always have to have some money kind of saved on the side for some emergency situations, and you know, channel's still rising, so nothing for anyone to worry about as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, it was the equivalent of someone saying you're only getting paid once this month compared to 2. Well, as far as a traditional like bi-weekly job.
True. Austin Hudson, he says, what are you guys hoping to see revealed at the Game Awards next month?
I haven't really thought about the Game Awards, honestly. I forget about that. Because they usually do reveal stuff, right?
Yeah.
A new Castlevania. That's not a mobile game. That's what I want. That's not going to happen, though. To be realistic, I want to see more of Halo Infinite. Because Halo Infinite, I'm a huge Halo fan. Some people on the channel might not know because I've never really made Halo content. That's going to change. But Halo Infinite, when I saw that, I was like, I'm really excited about it because it's not just first-person shooter. It looks like they're changing the whole formula to more of an open world kind of thing. I think that would be awesome for a Halo game, especially if your friends could like jump in and out in the world. So I want to see more of that because we don't know anything really. We know nothing about it. We know that Halo 6 became Halo Infinite, and it went from first-person traditional shooter to a big open world experience. And as always, I'll say this every year. I want to see another Assassin's Creed. I will never not say that. Just to put that out there.
Oh, man. Chid255 says, what do you think of my cat? Your cat is awesome. Next question.
So, I'm going to get hate. I'm not a cat person at all. I'm a dog person. I see if I go to a friend's house and there's a cat, like I'll pet it, but I don't want to own a cat ever. I want to own dogs, you know? I remember I had an ex-girlfriend actually that I dated, like my high school relationship. She had cats, man, and I think I'm allergic to them because every time I would like sleep over at her apartment or something, I'd wake up, my eyes would be like, you remember in Roger Rabbit, Judge Doom at the end? Where his eyes got all big. That was me whenever I was around cats all night. Like my eyes would be all puffy. Like I can't stand it. Dogs.
Chosen Rebel says, what advice would you give new YouTube content creators just starting out? I know you already gave a lot, but I really want to pick your brain.
You want to start that one, or you want me to? So we can write a book.
God, we could. Okay. There's opportunity for me to say this. You don't need a stream coach.
Oh my God, please. Or an MCN. We haven't talked about MCNs.
Let's go.
Let me say this. If you are part of an NCN and if you're a creator in this chat right now and you're part of an MCN, get out of it as soon as possible. I swear to God, you don't need an MCN. Anything an MCN can do, you can do. I'm actually talking to a guy right now, just to give you an example, that his channel's hacked. And he was asking me what happens with his paycheck Like, is he still going to get paid because someone took over his channel?
Mhm.
So I asked him, I was like, well, do you still have access to your AdSense? Are you still able to get in? He has no idea because he's in an MCN and they control his paycheck and they haven't gotten back to him. So that's just one example. MCNs will try to sell you on the fact that you can make custom thumbnails, they can fight copyright claims for you, they could do this and that. You could do all that yourself. I've been doing it all myself since day one. All an MCN, this is true, this is reality. All an MCN is going to do in today's YouTube environment, you're just going to be donating a part of your pay to them for nothing. They give you the illusion of them being valuable when really it's nothing. They make a ton of money off taking small amounts from small creators, and then they'll have one or two huge creators that generate most of their income. Those are the people that they're going to help. Those are the people that they're going to get in touch with other big creators and set up collaborations, which you can also do yourself. Mm-hmm. Like there's no reason to get an MCN. And I always laugh when I talk to a creator that says, but they do this and this for me. And I'm like, I do also to myself. Like you don't need it. I don't know where that misconception came from that they're so necessary, because they can't do, especially copyright claims. An MCN can't do anything. They can't do anything. It's YouTube can't even do anything because, and this is one thing where people give YouTube a lot of shit, but I understand. Legally, YouTube cannot get involved in copyright claims. They can't. It's the DMCA laws that if you look those up, I'm not going to get into them, but they're completely outdated. YouTube has to let companies be able to claim videos, even if it's falsely. They have to allow the process to go. So these MCNs will be like, oh, we can fight claims for you. All they do is file a dispute for you. That's something you can do too. So let that be a lesson, because it doesn't matter how big you are. As you're growing, you're going to get offers from MCNs regularly, offering you all kinds of BS. I had one a month ago. I know you remember this because I was complaining to you about it. An MCN, I don't know what marketing class they took, but they wanted me on board. They're like, hey, we think you're a great creator, but your thumbnails need some work. Join us. I was like, fuck you. Like, oh, what a great recruitment tool. The first thing you do, and they pick the one thing that people in my audience always tell me they like. So, secondly, joke's on you. But you don't start a partnership offer by being like, hey, this shit sucks. Let us help you and pay us. So I think, who was that? Was that Screenwave? I forgot who that was. I think it was Screenwave.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Screenwave, if anyone from that's watching it, don't ever send me another email. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to treat you the same as a hacker. Like, it's just as big of a scam. It really is. Like, MCNs, they're stealing your money. Same thing hackers are trying to do. They're stealing your money.
And
I get started, man. When I get started MCNs, whoo! I can't deal with them. They need to be banished from the platform.
And I'll touch on stream coaches. If you're a content creator who's trying to be a streamer on Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, whatever, if anyone is charging you and they have the formula to help you be successful, don't do it. They are con artists. And what they're doing is they're looking for people who are easy prey. It's just like a multi-level marketing thing. They'll want you to join in, and there are a lot of them. Baby and I have been talking about this, more so me than him. And I see a lot of them that are offering services to coach you. And then you look at these coaches and they don't even fucking play games themselves.
Mm.
Just funny.
Well, oh no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, to touch up on that too, which goes in line with the algorithm experts. A lot of those people that'll reach out to you, they'll be like, hey, I'm an algorithm expert. I can help you grow your channel. And then when you look at that channel, they've got like 1,000 subs. And it's just like, okay. Like, I know not to judge someone solely based on numbers, but when you're advertising yourself as this algorithm expert, why are you only at 1,000 subs and you've been doing this 3 years? You know, like that. It's a scam, man. That's their gig. It's easy money. I'm never gonna not think that.
Yeah.
You don't need any of that. All you need is yourself. Literally, all you need is yourself.
And Google.
Yeah, and Google and a computer and all kinds of other BS. But yep.
Next question's from Peter Robinson. He said, GamerThumb, Mekel, would you guys be interested in a Killer Instinct versus Mortal Kombat game? Yeah.
I mean, I'm a fan of both. I would buy it, but is it something I particularly want? Not really. I would prefer a Marvel versus DC game more if you're going to do a crossover. But as far as Mortal Kombat crossing over with something else, I don't think it needs to. I don't. It'd be weird. It would feel like. But then again, let me take that back at the same time, because Marvel vs. Capcom, who thought that would be successful? Yeah. But it worked. So maybe it would work. I don't know. I don't know if that's something I'd particularly. I don't know. I'd rather them do other things.
I mean, I remember talking about that back in like the 90s. People wanted that because Killer Instinct was so similar to, it was the best combination of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat in one. But like now, I don't know. Like, I mean, I wouldn't write it off because literally everything now is crossing over. And I think especially with Terry being, in Smash, and the demonstration for Terry today on the Direct was Terry versus Ryu. I think
that character that people don't know.
Yeah, who's that guy? How come Pokemon Trainer looks so grown? Why does he got blonde hair?
Pokemon Trainer. Holy shit. Terry's old school.
Oh yeah, dude, Sakurai was. If you watch that Direct, he was taking shots at the folks. He said, "I heard some of you younger people don't know who Terry Bogard is."
Good, man. He needs to be Hadoukening those people.
Right. Do we got any more questions? Do we have any more questions?
Oh wait, Lake Toy Bounty Hunter said, I've been approached by them since 2012. Oh, he's talking about Screenwave. And to date, I've never had one. I always felt the cons always outweighed the pros. That's the thing. Like right now, I'm past 50K subs. I get those offers all the time. Having said that, when I had 100 subs, I also got those offers. They will reach out to you at some point. Always turn it down. Always. There's not one scenario where you need to have an MCN. There's zero scenarios.
I think even I even had a situation too that happened. I think I was talking to you about it because I was trying to get your opinion on work. There's a website with the owner of the website is someone I interviewed, and they wanted to have my show on their.
Oh yeah.
But exclusively, and then they wanted to control who I interview, what I talk about, and wanted me to touch on political things. I'm like, I've moved so far. That's not the direction I'm going.
Yeah.
So
once you hear the word control, that's a big red flag. That's what did you leave your day job for? If someone else is gonna have control over your content. Chid also asked, is it true thumbnails are one of the key components to get a successful video? Yeah. Here's the thing. There's not one specific thing that's going to make. You can have the best thumbnail in the world and your video might not get any views. It's a combination of different factors, but I would say that's one of them, because you kind of have to stand out. Like, think of yourself as a viewer when you're scrolling through. Are you going to click on a thumbnail that, actually looks creative and stands out, or just something that in big words says, does it suck? We've talked, me and Mekel have had many conversations about bad. I'm sorry, I hate bad thumbnails. I can't. Do you want to talk about this? I think you should talk about this, because I know how you feel about the facial expressions that some creators make on thumbnails.
But some of these,
I'll let you do this. Go for it.
Okay. So many of these creators, they make these thumbnails where they look like they're about to suck the biggest cock in the world. Like, it's like, come on now. And then they put, does it suck? If it sucked, why would you do a video on it? Come on.
to me, that's just kind of, it's kind of lazy to me because people don't realize what goes. All right, how much work I put in the thumbnail, and I know I put more work on thumbnails than I need to, but I enjoy doing it. Like I take a day out of the week where I do like 5 or 6 thumbnails. That takes me a couple hours easy because I'll sit there and get my templates and do all my faces and all that stuff. Sometimes finding box art, finding images that aren't blurry. But then you get some people that are just like, they'll open their folder with a bunch of pictures of themselves, use the same one on every thumbnail, and change the word. Like it's kind of lazy. Like I don't know how that helps. You know, I don't know.
Oh God!
But you know about bad thumbnails. I can't.
She said, "I don't want a thumbnail looking like someone got a pitchfork up their asshole."
There's plenty of them.
So many.
There's plenty, but you know what? I go back. Tell me this isn't true. A lot of them are from Switch channels. Yeah. A lot of them are from Switch channels. Yeah. Like they'll have their. Hold on, let me get my Switch. I'm gonna reenact it. This is it. Let me show you Switch channel thumbnail. They'll have this. And that's it. There's your thumbnail. Maybe some words up here. Or that's it.
Or no, what's the other one? They're holding it like.
Yeah, they'll always have some kind of like. But the thing is, like, okay, do it once or twice. But when you go down their videos, and I've seen this, you go down, it looks like they have the same thumbnail over and over and over and over. Yeah. I don't like bad thumbnails.
It's lazy. It's super lazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so Austin Hudson, he has a question for you. He says, this is for Fabian. How has your timeline series changed for you? Did you expect that it would be so good? How is this for you now? That's more than one question, god damn it.
Man, that's a good question though.
It is though.
How is your let me go piece by piece. How has your timeline changed? It has changed drastically, which proof of that is the whole reason I even did the second Castlevania one. The thing that's changed the most is doing these timeline videos has taught me that viewers don't really care about how long a video is and more so what's in the damn video. Because another myth is that, the algorithm, you can't have videos more than 15 minutes because people won't watch it. Well, that's not true, clearly. But when I first started doing my timeline series, I would be so focused, and this is the reason I want to redo the Zelda one. I was so focused on how long the video was, where I cut so many details, and it's just like, I don't worry about it right now. Like when people ask me how long a video is going to be, it might be an hour or two, might be 10 minutes. When I do a video, it's as long as it needs to be. As long as I get the information in the video I want, I don't pay attention to how long it is. So that's how it's changed for me. And I answered this early in the stream, but did you expect it to be so good? No. I did it because I wanted to play Castlevania all over again, and I didn't think anyone was going to watch, but now it's like one of the main courses on the channel. So, and as far as the future of the series, I kind of go series by series. The future, I want to do a Halo one. I want to redo the Zelda one and make it way better. One thing I'm going to do more of is other content too. Because and I know you can attest to this, Mekel, but with YouTube, one important thing about audiences, this is a huge problem Angry Joe had, by the way. I want to name drop him because he went through a whole ordeal where you want to give audiences what they want, but at the same time, you got to get them used to the fact that if you're a variety channel, you're going to have other stuff too. Because some people just want one thing and that's all they want. With Angry Joe, for example, what happened with him, he used to just do like game reviews, but he wanted to do all kinds of other things. So when he flipped the switch and just started doing other things, he got a huge backlash from his community. Yeah. And I got to side with him on that because as a creator, you should be able to do what you want. So that's why I'm very focused on not just because I could do timeline videos for the rest of my life and just have that, and I'll probably get a ton of views. But I mean, realistically, if that's all I ever do, I'll get bored of creating content. That's not all I want to do. So as far as the future, keep checking the community tab. I'll keep you guys updated all the time. But next one's probably going to be Halo or Zelda. One of the two.
And that's something else, people, for those of you who are watching, that's the whole reason that we have the community tab is for us to keep you guys updated on what's coming up and also for you guys to communicate with us, and it's very imperative. If we post something and we're trying to let you guys know, and then Because I know this has happened to you a lot, Fabian, where it's like, oh, when's this coming? Oh, why is this happening?
Every day. I get that people have lives, but without getting into specifics, when I've talked about a specific thing on multiple streams, on multiple community posts, on multiple videos, and then someone asked me that very question, I know you're not really watching the channel regularly. So I'm just going to tell you something like check the last community post, check the last channel update, because it's addressed on there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So if I spent my whole day answering all these questions about when's this, I would never get anything done. So, yeah, that's why I really appreciate the viewers that are on the channel so regularly that they know what's coming up because they actually pay attention. Those are the best kind of viewers that come on the channel and know what's up because they focus.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a daily thing.
That's one of the things. Like that just reminded me of two other things I wanted to ask you about. And I'm gonna get back to the questions, guys. I know we're winding this down. But one of the things I find so interesting is how you got people that have a regular channel and a streaming channel. Why split your audience? And I know you and I have talked about that for a long time. And it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I got something to say about that when you're done, but
I'm done. I'm shutting up.
Oh, well, no, I agree with you on that. A lot of big creators do that. a lot of big creators do that. I never understood that because there was a time just because I was experimenting that I was like, maybe I should try that out and see how it works. Well, you know what I did? I posted a poll on Twitter. I posted a poll on my community tab asking my community like what they thought. Should I do that? It was something like 85% or something of the community that voted said to keep it all on the same channel. So I'm going to go by the advice of my viewers. And I get that because me, for example, as a viewer, like let's say I'll go on, I don't know, Boogie298's channel. I'm never going to check his streaming channel. I don't care. Like I just want to go to one place and have everything there. So the feedback I got from my viewers was just have everything in playlists. So that's how I have everything. I have my live stream playlist. Like I don't feel a need to have a second channel because all you're doing is splitting your community instead of just having everyone together in one spot. I don't understand why people do that. And from what I've seen, it doesn't really help their traction or views or whatever.
It's just more work and it's unnecessary work. And it's kind of like the thing I've been saying to my wife, and other content creators is you got to make sure your workflow is efficient and it doesn't stress you out, because if you're stretching yourself across multiple platforms, and like I said, you and I talked about this all the time, you're burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
And looking at certain platforms, if you're on Twitch and you've been streaming on Twitch for 6 months to a year or more and you're not growing, maybe it's time to either change your marketing strategy or go to a different platform. Or if you're a mixer and you're having the same thing, try something else. But if you're on YouTube, and I've never understood, and okay, I kind of get why these stream coaches and Twitch people, it's a method where they're hopping on YouTube because they can't get the traction on Twitch to draw people from YouTube to Twitch with the idea that, oh yeah, I'm gonna help you. This is my community. This is my Discord. You can join my Discord. And I'm never going to speak to you. I'm never going to acknowledge you. But I'm going to give you the idea that if, you go over to Twitch, then I'm going to interact with you. But, this whole thing of splitting your audience across whatever platform you go to, just doesn't make sense. I've got 11,000 subscribers here on YouTube, and a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction show up on my streams. But like I've always said, like if you guys are more comfortable coming here for the streams, that's where I'm gonna be. If it's convenient for you, then so be it. I'd rather do that than try to go to Twitch. And I grinded on Twitch and got nowhere and quickly realized it's not worth it.
I remember that.
Yeah.
A lot less traffic, drastically a lot less traffic. And also another thing too, a lot of people switch different platforms because like they're sick of YouTube's whatever, they're sick of Twitch's whatever. One thing to realize is all the problems that exist on YouTube, Twitch is going to have their own set of problems just as bad. Like there's no perfect platform. They're going to happen. So stream wherever you're most comfortable with. Create where you're most comfortable with, where your community is, where your community is going to watch you. You know, some people go on Twitch and make a living on that. That's fine. But don't switch a platform just because, I don't know, you're getting a copyright claim on one platform. You're probably going to get one on the other too at some point. It's just how it works.
And be like, I'm sick of the algorithm changes. And you're like, okay.
Twitch doesn't have an algorithm. Like, you know, they have their own set of issues and things, you know?
All right. The Rogue Dragon, his question is, if you two could make your perfect games or movie, what would it be like?
Oh my God. I know what I want to say, but I don't want to rant.
You can rant, dude. There's no filter on this channel. You know this.
I hate Terminator Dark Fate. I saw that movie yesterday. I have such a deep hatred for it now. So when I say a perfect movie, oh my God, I was talking to Checkpoints about this because I hate the remake for Child's Play. Mm-hmm. They did it. They gave me a movie that I hate more than that. So when I say good, perfect movie or game, I want a perfect Terminator franchise. That's what I want. I want Terminator 1. I want Terminator 2, Terminator 3. Yes, I like those. Salvation. And then I want them to have one movie right here called Terminator 5 about the whole future war. It's a whole war movie, all in the future, no time travel. And then Terminator 6 could be the final battle. And it leads to Kyle going back to 1984, coming full circle. Terminator Dark Fate sucks. It's within the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I'm gonna step back.
No, it was funny because I watched it yesterday. Thank God the theater was empty. Because me and my fiance were sitting in the theater. There were like 4 other people all the way back. And I won't spoil anything, but within the first 5 minutes, something happens that ruins everything. Just ruins the whole series. And I punched the armchair and I was like, fuck. And then I sat there and I was just staring at the movie the whole time, fuming. So, yeah, I hate that movie. That's what I want. I want a perfect Terminator saga. And these people, these monsters that decided to revive it, destroyed it. So I keep hearing all these things on Twitter that, oh, well, if you turn off your brain, it's a great action movie. I don't want to turn off my brain to watch a Terminator movie. I just want a good damn movie. You know, like I could turn off my brain and go watch Godzilla. Okay, that's awesome. I don't want to do that for Terminator. So kiss my ass. Terminator's like, I hate that. That's it. Because my fiance started laughing earlier today because I was sitting there in the morning today, just like looking at my computer. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "You're gonna think this is really stupid, but I'm totally serious." And she looked at me all concerned, and I was like, "I'm genuinely angry about that Terminator movie still." It's like, "You're still thinking about it?" I was like, you don't understand. Like, I'm genuinely angry about it. So anyone that asks me, people have been asking me for a review. That's my review. 0 out of 10. It's garbage and it shouldn't exist. 0. Well, no, hold on. 1 out of 10. Because I genuinely like Sarah Connor and I liked Arnold in it. They were awesome. But nope. 1 out of 10. Just because of them. They got the point. I'll even give it 2 because there's 2 of them. 2 out of 10.
Like, how does that movie do so bad and Rambo came back with the heat?
I don't know. Rambo was good. I thought that was genuinely a good movie. But you know what? I'm happy Dark Fate bombed. Good. That movie could burn in hell. Like, it hasn't even made a quarter of its budget back, so I think that's officially the nail in the coffin. Toy Bounty Hunter says, GamerThumb, it's definitely the worst of the series. I'll say this. I thought Genesis was awful. This movie, I actually watched Genesis over again today. This movie made me appreciate that one. That's how bad it was.
Damn.
So take that as you will. So worst of the series, yes, most definitely. See, I told you I was going to rant if I started. I told you.
I gave you the microphone.
Terminator is one of my triggers. If you do Terminator wrong, like I hate you. I love the Terminator series.
Oh god! So Austin Hudson said, "If you guys had one character in Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, who would it be and why?"
I already got him. Castlevania people.
That was so left field. Too.
Yeah.
Could you? Well, I guess I don't know. Maybe we could get. We probably won't get Contra characters, but it would be cool.
Oh, how would they? What would they do though? Because all they do is shoot. Like they would have to make up their moves. I think
They would.
I don't know. Someone that's not in the game already. Oh, let me tell you. I know because it's my 2 dream characters. I have 2 dream characters left. I had 4 before. One was Castlevania people, King K. Rool. I got both of those. My other 2 is Wart from Super Mario Brothers 2. That character gets no love. Where the hell is he? And Captain N, Kevin, the Game Master. Why don't we have him? Like from the animated series, those are my 2 dream characters, Kevin and Wart, and then I'm happy. You can make no better Smash Brothers after that.
Okay, so for me, since they're bringing in characters from series that define the genre, they need to bring somebody from Virtua Fighter in. Like, come on now, you got Terry. Bring in Akira or Jackie or Kage or whatever.
Who was the blonde girl?
Sarah.
Sarah. I heard she was kind of popular back in the day. I used to see her on all the advertising for Virtua Fighter.
Well, like bring them in. I could even see them doing someone from Tekken. I mean, I know they have the Mii fighters, but I'm like, come on now, bring some. And I think what it is kind of like what you and I were talking about the other day too. And yes, people, I know I'm saying that a lot because we talk a lot. One of the things you said that really resonated with me is anything with Nintendo right now and Smash is gonna sell.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think we were talking about that yesterday, right? Where someone asked you on your stream, like, do you think a crossover or something would do well? And I was like, anything crossed over with Nintendo would sell. Doesn't matter what it is. You cross over Terminator Dark Fate with Nintendo, and it would sell.
Yep, it would. It really would. I mean, it's just Nintendo right now coming off the Wii U. It's just a gold mine right now. Like the only thing I'm hoping is if they do make a more powerful Switch, which I think they are, they're gonna have to because with PlayStation 5 and the Scarlet coming out, that parity is gonna be lost.
Yeah. I know like graphics and console power aren't the most important thing, but it's a factor. You know, it is an important factor, and it's a factor that you have to naturally improve over time. Yeah. You know, the Switch can't be the way it is now forever. And that goes back to what I was telling you before about Switch channels being popular now and not later. You know, things are constantly changing in the industry. So when PS5 and Xbox Scarlet come out, like you have to have a more powerful Switch because it needs the third-party support. So, you know, the games are going to be even more of a downgrade than they are now when they go on the Switch. That's not going to... How long is that going to be okay?
True.
Look what happened to Bloodstained. Remember when Bloodstained came out? They updated it now, but when it came out, how much of a huge downgrade it was on the Switch compared to the other ones? That gap is just going to increase with the next generation. Yeah. They have to come out with a more powerful Switch. But Nintendo's not stupid. They know that. They're always working on things behind the scenes. They're definitely going to come out with one. It's just a matter of when.
All right, guys. If you guys have any more questions, we'll take about, let's say 2-3 more questions. Do it for you.
Yeah, it's good for me.
I know Rogue Dragon 05 had one. He said, what are future plans for the next year for both your channels? Well, I plan to in December just take a break from podcasting because I think I've been burning myself out with podcasting, and honestly, this is the most fun podcast I've had. Actually, this is the most fun of all podcasts I've had because I'm generally chopping it up with a friend that I actually talk to. And you guys are being very active in the chat, and I'm really enjoying you guys coming through for that. So I want more conversations like this. And it's not to say that I don't enjoy the ones with like the people in the gaming industry or the voice actors or whatever. It's just, you know, I like to switch it up. And I think next year, I'm definitely going to be switching up on my channel next year going forward with interviews with wrestlers. So we got Hulk Hogan, we got The Rock, Stone Cold, all that set up for next year. Then hopefully I'll be able to do the ability to go places and interview people in person. That's something I'm looking forward to doing. But other than that, more of the same: streams, reviews, podcasts like this. And actually, speaking of which, because now that I see this is a successful formula, this is something Fabian actually asked me, why wasn't I doing before? And that's live stream podcasts like this. And it's because before, when I did it, I didn't have structure and it kind of just evolved. But now that this is working, I think I might start doing more stuff like this going forward.
Yeah, the audience interaction's nice too. That's why I brought it up to you, because I know, like, when I used to do pre-recorded Let's Plays, I was so bored doing them. I didn't like doing them.
Mm-hmm.
But having an audience there live and interacting and watching, it's a completely different feel. So, and I know you like to live stream too. So, I mean, I think it worked great for you.
Yeah, definitely did.
Yeah.
Zero say, except for Kira Buckling, he didn't enjoy that one. Don't ever.
Is that the one you told me with the lady that was I don't know what word to use. Well, didn't you have one you told me where someone was like batshit crazy? I don't remember who that was.
Oh no, it wasn't her.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
No, Kira Buckland, that's the girl that's the voice of 2B from Nier. She was Kyoko and River City Girls. And Zero, you're trying to get me in trouble because this is a podcast. This isn't a normal stream.
I don't know this story. I don't know this one.
I will. So basically, the long and short of it is, the person showed up 3 hours late actually a day and 3 hours late for the interview. They showed up either, I couldn't tell if they were drunk or high, and
wow,
it literally devolved into like a 15-minute podcast, maybe 12 minutes, because Zero, you're fine. They didn't want to talk. Anything I tried to ask them, they was just like, oh, yeah. Well, can we wrap this up? I have things I need to do now.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
So, like, why did you even come on the show in that case?
Yeah, that's...
Wow.
So, Kira Buckland, the interview will be going up probably... I'm just probably going to quietly throw it out there because I'm not trying to give her any publicity. Very disappointed. If she sees this, oh, well, fuck you. And
damn,
I just, I mean, like that, and that's the thing too, is like the chemistry between yourself and the guests. Like, if you're gonna go on somebody's show, at least have some energy.
Yeah, have something to say too. Like, yeah, and then just stare awkwardly into the camera. Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh wait, I don't think I answered his question, did I?
No.
About the what I'm planning for the next year. What I'm planning for the next year, as far as goals, next year's goal is 100K subscribers, because I want that silver play button. So that's the goal. As far as content, there's a lot of content in my backlog. Here's the thing: I get a lot of requests from a lot of people. 90% of what I get requested is stuff that I already have in my backlog that I'm planning on doing. So I'm planning on going through, and I know Rogue Dragon's going to give me shit because I've been talking about reviewing Captain N the Game Master for over a year already, to where I spent like $90 buying the DVD set on eBay, and I have not done it yet. I'm going to get to it. I promise. But yeah, within the next year, I want to go through my backlog of videos that I've been wanting to do for a while. And of course, more timeline stuff. A lot of streams too that I've been getting a lot of requests about.
So that's one of the things okay, so I kind of want to ask you, when you decide on like, hey, this is, for this year, you're like, hey, I want to hit 50K, and then next year you're like 100K. When you like, for me, I wanna hit 20K before this year ends, and I do often battle with myself of thinking I'm not gonna make it. Like, how did you deal with that? Like that, what you see versus what you're trying to.
Well, easiest answer that I can give you is I didn't really deal with it. I just kind of brushed it aside and just kept working because think about this. You can't control that.
Yeah.
You can't control. I try to focus on what I can control and how I come up with the goals. I usually try to think of what's reasonable and then add on like 25,000 more because I never want to shoot for here. I want to shoot for here and see how far I can get. But yeah, that's the best answer I could give you. Just focus on doing your work and the numbers will just come because you can't control whether someone's going to hit the subscribe button. All you can control is making your content, asking people to sub and share your videos. But whether they're going to hit subscribe or not, can't worry about it. Can't worry about it because that's not on you.
Okay. And then, and I probably asked this earlier and I forgot, scatterbrain over here. So, so I kind of want to dispel one other thing, a misconception a lot of people have is that if you're going to grow on YouTube or any platform, you need someone who is either a bigger YouTuber, bigger content creator to shout you out or have you on to make you just blow up. It is to me, but yeah. Why do you think so?
It's complete BS. I mean, and so many things have proven it. Like, for example, I remember a while back, I was watching, I don't watch these guys regularly. It's not my kind of content, but I did watch one video I found interesting from Jacksepticeye. Mm-hmm. He was talking about how he exploded. And there's this conception that PewDiePie gave him a shout out and he just blew up from there because of it. But when he made the video and even showed the analytics and everything, he showed that when he got the shout out, he just got a couple thousand subs, which for his size and PewDiePie's audience, that's nothing. Mm-hmm. So he said he really didn't experience any growth from that shout out. His growth came like a year later when he started picking up traction and now he's in the millions, So, I mean, that's proof right there that it doesn't work. I know, for example, myself, there's a ton of really small channels I've shouted out and I've kind of kept track over the next couple days, whether people have joined, subscribed to them or not. Mm-hmm. Maybe gotten a little bit of a boost. I'm not a big channel, but I'm not this huge, enormous channel, but you would think there'd be some sort of effect and it's minimal. So no, you don't need a shout out. It's cool to get shout outs. To me, it's more of a community, like a togetherness. You want to help others. You want to recommend other channels, but realistically, are you going to blow up because someone said you're a good channel? No, your work is going to and if you do, they're not there for your work. They're there because someone else told them to go there. So eventually they might not watch any of your stuff. They might watch your stuff and become uninterested. You want people to come to your channel because they discovered you and they like you and your content. So no, shout outs don't work. You don't need them.
So, I mean, I will take the last question, Rogue Dragon. Thank you very much. Just giving you shit. Rogue Dragon will be having the last question from the audience, and that will be, what is the most anticipated upcoming game or movie? I don't have one. I think everything I wanted has come out already for me.
I kind of agree. I'm trying to think. Movie. I got all the movies I've been wanting I'm trying to think what's coming. Oh, well, for me, honestly, Jedi Fallen Order. I'm really excited about that game. I know it's gotten it's next week, yeah. I'm extremely excited about that game because everything I've read and seen on it has been good. For me, I understand people are hating on it because EA's attached. I don't care about any of that. I just want to focus on the game itself. And from everything I've seen, it looks like it's going to have Zelda-style dungeons. It's going to have like planet-hopping Mass Effect style. And it takes place right after the Clone Wars area between that and New Hope. It's got a brand new character that seems to be an interesting story. So as far as game, I don't think I've been this excited about a game in a while, because it's an EA Star Wars game that I think is actually going to be really well done. Movies, I don't know. I've gotten all the movies this year that I want.
All right. And audience, I'm going to ask y'all a question because I want y'all to give us some feedback. Did you guys enjoy having GamerThumb on the podcast, and would you want to see him on again? I vote yes.
I'd be down. Why not?
And see, Chosen Rebel say heck yeah. Doom Annihilation.
I have a lot of fun too, though, doing the live podcast, because it's like I said, man, as an interviewer, you're not just giving me a job interview. You know, it's just a conversation. But what you guys are seeing, as far as the viewers, what you guys are seeing on here, this is how we talk every day on like Facebook messages or whatever. Yeah. Like, this is just our regular conversations we have.
Yeah, it definitely is. And all we did was just hit record or go live.
Yep.
Is there anything you want to leave the audience with before we go?
Leaving the audience with,
yeah.
I've been talking a lot. I think I've said everything that I needed to say, but just honestly, the advice I gave and the things that I've been through, really take that to heart, because even if you're not a creator and you're just a viewer, I feel you can apply it to your everyday life. You know, they're like the whole thing about being in a situation you don't want to be in and just making your life better. Like, we all have choices to make. So, and if you're a creator, just be aware of all the BS out there that is readily trying to infect your creativity and trying to scam you out of money. 99% of it is BS, and you don't need any of it. So I think we've kind of gone over all of it in great detail for anyone that's been here the whole time.
Yeah. And actually, I'd let him talk, people. Dude, I'm taking shots as much as I can. I want the smoke.
Oh my God. Yep. That was an interesting podcast that you're referring to. I won't say names.
Names will not be named, but I want the smoke.
Yep. It was the kind of thing where I was like, and this is the last thing I'll say, but it was the kind of thing where I was like, well, this is what happened, but nope, that's not what we're here for. And I was just like, well, that's what I'm here for.
And the thumbnail.
Yeah. This was a better podcast. I'll leave it at that.
This has been a year in the making. That's why it's so good.
Fuck, it has been a year in the making. That's crazy. I'm getting old, man. Years passed already.
Dude, years are flowing like water.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep.
2020, man, in a month and a half.
Do you remember when that used to be the future?
Yeah.
In 7 years, think about it. In 7 to 8 years, LA should be covered in Terminators with purple lasers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, shit. That's
all right. And before we go, tell people where they can find you again and any content or things you're working on.
To find me, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
and TikTok.
Patreon. Not yet. Maybe one day. It's too much social media. As far as what I'm working on next, tomorrow night, I should have Mortal Kombat: The History of Ermac, the awesome telepathic ninja. That'll be up Friday. I am doing Luigi's Mansion. One important thing I do want to say, the Battletoads 50K stream that I had scheduled for Saturday, my friend got on me today because it was his birthday. I completely forgot. So I promised him I'd go out. That's Saturday. So that stream's coming on Sunday instead. So pay attention to that. Sunday, Battletoads.
All right. And if you guys want to follow Fabian on all or any of his social media outlets or his YouTube channel, links for that are all in the description below. I'm going to drop those in the stream chat. That way you guys, if you haven't already, it gave me a limitation. I mean, I can put in there. I'll put your YouTube. If any of you have not subbed to his channel, then I don't know what you're doing with your life. You need to sub to GamerThumbTV's channel, because the man is literally making some of, if not the best content on YouTube. And from be it the timelines, the button smash series, the streams, or just about anything, you know. And I seriously mean this. Like, Damien, you are one of the greatest content creators in content creation.
Thank you. Right back at you, man. Right back at you.
Dude, I'm not there. I'm not there. But seriously, man, like the things that you do, the work that you do, the energy and effort you put into all of your projects, man, it's fucking inspiring. And it's I have to thank you because honestly, if we hadn't have met and we hadn't talked, I'd still probably be at the dead end job. I still probably would be miserable. And honestly, and I haven't really said this before, and I'll say it now, I probably would be divorced because that job
takes a toll.
It did. It really pushed Leo and I apart, and I'm grateful that, you know, I had you to talk to. I'm grateful she's now got, you know, Eilani to talk to, and you're really.
She told my fiance that you were a lot more emotional.
I'm kidding.
He's a lot more emotional and lovey-dovey. You know, like,
no one. What is
that's
this?
good though. That's good though. It really is.
But yeah, and people honestly follow him on Twitter, on Instagram. Check him out on Facebook. Follow his Facebook page. Support the man's content by subscribing to his YouTube channel. And honestly, check out his Patreon. You know, all this content is free, but that work, I just feel compelled to support. And I think you guys would definitely enjoy it. If you enjoy his content, then definitely support. And with that being said, if you like this podcast, you want to catch more stuff like this, I have it on I just forgot where I have my podcast. God damn it, Fabian.
This is not the only time I've seen you do that on your podcast. I've seen that happen to you multiple times. I laugh every time.
Like, Jesus, tap dancing, Christ! How can I forget?
Let me tell you, you're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Patreon, Twitch, and YouTube. I'm reading it off the screen.
Oh shit!
You can see that same thing I'm reading. Somebody needs to clip that.
For real. Oh god. And with that being said, awesome. People, it's been a blast. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, twice a day. Except for tonight. I may stream.
So I'll jump in. I need something to do.
Okay, so Terry Bogarts and Smash. I think I might stream that. Maybe Monster Hunter. If you want to hop on Monster Hunter.
I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna go eat. Wall. You know what? I might jump on after 8 though, but I'll definitely be in your stream.
I want to go eat, but I can't. My car battery died.
Oh, that sucks.
It does suck. Anyways, yes, people, you can catch the podcast, the #1 podcast in Hawaii, legitimately, on every major podcasting outlet. Here on YouTube, I need to change that because I'm not on Twitch anymore. I don't care about Twitch. So I need to get rid of that. But yeah, you can catch it on all those outlets. Every Monday, brand new episode. This episode will also be uploaded to those podcasting outlets. And with a new intro and outro, it will be re-uploaded as well. So if you enjoyed this video, you enjoyed this podcast, enjoyed my guests, make sure you hit that like button, share it, and yeah, let us know if you want more stuff like this. And with that being said, GamerThumbTV and I are signing out. You guys have a good one. Hey, did you enjoy this episode of the Kasanova Podcast? Well, I'm sure you did. And since you did, and you're wondering where else you can find it on every podcasting outlet. Yes, that includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Launchpad DM by Podcast One, and so much more. And the only thing I ask of you is if you truly enjoyed it, even if you didn't enjoy it, please leave a rating and tell us what you thought of it, what you like, what you didn't like, and everything in between. And also, if you're looking for video formats of this podcast and many more, you'll be able to find them on youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova, as well as on twitch.tv/Mekel Kasanova, and new episodes every single Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, with that being said, this is Mekel Kasanova, Hawaii's favorite YouTuber. I am signing out. You guys have a great one.